Market today, S&P 500 currently gapping up, and one Mag 7 company that reported earnings last night is very likely the culprit. So good look there. As you guys can see, lots of different headlines coming in, including one Politico report suggesting the Trump administration could actually be adding some sweeping tariffs on semiconductors, and it's a pretty broad look. We'll get into that a little bit more later. I've also seen a lot of Fed's comments. You had comments from Fed Schmidt, you had comments from Fed's Goolsbee. Later today, you're getting not one, but two sets of comments from Fed's Hammock. Now, Fed's Hammock is one of three voting members, if you recall, that recently voted in favor of rate hikes. So she's a little bit hawkish. That's certainly going to be in focus. And her speeches, I find, are kind of increasingly calling for the Fed to hike rates sooner rather than later. At 8:30 a.m., you're going to be getting initial jobless claims coming through. We're expecting 208,000 versus 206,000 previously, so this is going to be more or less in line. That's really the only economic data of note that we get all day. Then, of course, at 1 p.m., you're going to get that bond auction, 7-year auction alongside Fed's Hammock's comments at that time. Tomorrow, you get a little bit more Fed speak, of course, with Fed's Warsh at Jackson Hole and the University of Michigan consumer sentiment, as well as the revision for these NFPs. So there's lots of stuff to look at here tomorrow. Today, a little bit lighter for economic data, but still some stuff that's going to be of note. Let's take a look here at NVDA. This is the belle of the ball when it comes to earnings. The biggest earnings event of the season happened, and the stock took it really well. There's some other announcements around this report as well, including with Amazon. There's a Hugging Face reported acquisition. So Nvidia, there's a lot more here than meets the eye, but all of it looking really positive. They're not the only name to report earnings, that we had a whole bunch of post-market and pre-market reports that the market's going to digest, some analyst notes as well on all of these names. And of course, we're still digesting some more headlines about the Fed as well. So there's a lot that's both market moving and not market moving to take into account today, Sia.
Morning, welcome everyone. There is definitely a lot to look at. Nvidia actually doing quite really well after its earnings report yesterday. You did rightly say that they have a lot of other things that are acting as catalysts from apart from the earnings report. We do have that Hugging Face acquisition for $12.9 billion as well. And apart from that, we also do have a lot of headlines that we will be discussing today, just like we have Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff also saying that the SaaS apocalypse is nonsense. There's a lot of things that we're going to be discussing today. Stay with us.
So, yeah, I mean, right now you've got Nvidia to the upside. We mentioned the SPY to the upside. I'll take a look at the Qs here. Also looking pretty good. I guess my thoughts here for Sean and Neil, and I'll start with you, Neil. Do you think that we can hold this strength on Nvidia and on the market, or do you think, because we've seen this before with Nvidia earnings, that it ends up giving a lot of this back?
Harsh one there. Good morning, everybody. Like, I don't know if I want to go with harsh, but you just start to look at some of the numbers here, and it's so impressive. Like you don't want to get completely blown away by how good the quarter is and ignore price action, because it is trending down in the pre-market after going so far to the upside. But when you look at the cloud, it's that ACIE number, cloud, industrial, and enterprise, ended up $40 billion of that almost 100 revenue. If everyone's worried about it just all being with the hyperscalers, like that number right there, and that was I was like 138% growth. Overall growth was less than this. So like you're growing away from the hyperscalers, which is impressive. But as we usually see when you have a big gap up with a big cap tech name, you see that pre-market where there's profit taking, and we've seen a pattern before. Always zoom yourself out, look to prior resistance before, and if it can hold on to some of these gaps, like I look at like the 220 level, sort of an obvious one. If you hold that, maybe it's 10 o'clock, maybe it's 10:30. Oftentimes we'll make a little bit of a base and rally. Just don't be surprised if we end up a little bit more inside day, maybe 225 doesn't break. We'll end up with more of an inside day, and then you get a rally later on. Heck, I even saw a report that Michael Burry hedged some of his shorts with short-term call buying so that he wouldn't be, I guess, expecting that it wouldn't be another one of these Nvidia sells off and is down after earnings. So, hey, I mean, it looks pretty bullish right now. I mean, the market's is less than 1%, but it looks like it's an all systems go. We just might have to weather a little bit of early selling.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got a Burry feeling less bearish, that's always an interesting sign here. Sean, I guess for you as well, when you look at what the charts are doing right now with Nvidia and then Nasdaq to the upside, do you think this move is sustainable for today?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty much as expected, right? I mean, we had the 5 to 6% move. This is what we were looking at. as Neil mentioned, the pullback is to the downside right now. Underneath VWAP, I don't necessarily like that too much, but am happy with the performance. I mean, when we started yesterday and the number came out, it trended a little lower initially. If we go over into a 1 minute chart here, it's just at 4 o'clock, comes out there at 420, down into 204, right? And then if we zoom back in a little bit there, then this conference call started to kick, and then that's when we started to get back up to the upside. Looks like a 218 or so level should be able to be withheld there today as well. So I believe, I like the Nvidia quarter there. Everything higher. There's really nothing to talk about. 222 versus 209 is a great EPS look there. Jensen's statement, AI has reached its inflection point. Compute is revenue, was one quote from Jensen. So I think if the market can sort of digest that, looks like we do have some low areas, 220 to 218, that we can try to dip by off of. Hey, look, man, it's helping a lot of stocks today. Marvell reports tonight. They're up 4.5% or so, right here up to 254. Closing at 240, so that's up. ARM is up today as well. There's a lot of names here that continue to go a little higher on this number. Advanced micro devices, starting to go a little bit there once that call happened in this morning as well, to the upside, fading back into 486. So yeah, look, Nvidia kind of saves the day a little bit here today. Not saves the day. I mean, the market's been okay. Yeah. It's just, I think it was also nice when you had Nvidia. If you look at the setup into the quarter, you had some down movements here, right? This is the daily chart over on this side. So, you were already coming in onto that quarter when you had that 7 of 8 days to the downside. So I think it was set up nicely to beat, and there it goes up here into 220s. So yeah, Nvidia, man, good little level there at 222.
Well, there is one story here that I think Nvidia probably is saving some of these chips from, because it's actually not that good of a look for the chips here.
Nope.
Politico reporting that the Trump administration is considering a new round of tariffs on semiconductors. It's going to be a lot broader than prior tariff rounds, and apparently you already have, according to this Politico report, insiders within the tech industry trying to tell the administration not to do this. That'll actually hurt U.S. chip hopes here.
Adara, if you do remember, I'm pretty sure that you do, in May, we had U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer saying that there will be no new additional taxes on semiconductors until further notice. But this seems like it is the notice, because there are these additional taxes that could potentially be imposed. New tariff proposals come in on a range of tech goods. Instead of just targeting microchips, they're also going to be applied to products that use them, like laptops, gaming devices, consoles, data center servers. So Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is tilting, I would say, like a bit towards structure that will tie these foreign companies relief from these tariffs to investment in U.S. chip manufacturing to boost local production. And yes, Politico rightly reported this, that the framework could still be substantially revised so in the coming months.
Yeah, we still don't have, as Sia mentioned, it's not confirmed, it's just a report, still some revisions. But either way, if this is in fact true, it's definitely not a good look here for these chip plays. Sean, would you be looking for, potentially with that in mind, a short for some of these non-NVIDIA chip plays? I mean, this could include cell phone chips, so something like Qualcomm was the first thing I thought of when I read this headline.
Oh God, I'm in Qualcomm, so yeah, it's not a good look. I was looking. I call up the SMH. I mean, right now we talked about high tide lifts all ships, right? So the SMH right now is up to 571 right now, off of 555. So I think it's been helping out pretty good. This is going to be, this is according to Politico. Phase in is what they're going to do. They're going to bring this plan in, one by one. 25% duties on certain advanced AI chips. You'd think that this would affect some of the custom ASIC makers, like as you just sort of mentioned there, with Qualcomm, with Marvell, with Broadcom. But I think right now everyone's just looking at Nvidia. So I think this is a story that's on the back burner for here today, but something that we maybe have to investigate day 2 or day 3 after these earnings sort of smooth out. So I think it's just another playbook play here that we can start to talk about as far as tariffs. And we still have that big China worry over our head, which might not be one. So I think there's still a few levers that can be pulled here, but tariffs are what this administration likes to do. So it doesn't surprise me that we're going after the semiconductors now.
Yeah, I think, sorry, Neil, to cut you off there. I think the timing of this story almost makes you wonder if this was intentionally kind of done, right? Because you have the strong earnings report from Nvidia that a couple hours later we get a story that would, I think, ostensibly hurt the chips. So it's almost serendipitous for the chips that we get it timed for today. I guess what are your thoughts? As Sean mentioned, maybe this is like a day 2 or 3 sell-off. Is this something where you think we're just going to forget about it for now, or the sell-off will come a little later, like Sean suggested?
I was going to say that I don't think at all it's not a coincidence. Like, every earnings season, there's the one day that stands out, and there's one day that we all pay. That it's like we call it the Super Bowl of earnings. And then on top of that, like Nvidia blew it out the water, but it wasn't just that. It was like during the call, and it was after market that Jensen, and it wasn't just Jensen. I mean, the CFO came out, basically pulled the 2028 revenue, said, well, that's 2027 now, so even bigger. So everyone that's saying it was as expected, well, you're not listening to the guidance. It really wasn't. They pulled out at 4, so they were expecting 44%, and they got 70 something. It's ridiculous. So I don't think it's a coincidence they brought this in. And you got to be concerned it's going to continue to raise prices. We've already heard Nvidia was going to raise prices. I mean, Apple's already raising prices. I think it's more what it could mean to the consumer if this happens. And we were bracing for this, I guess, at some point. And if you're going to drop this news, I suppose this would be the perfect time to have done it. I guess because the market has a little bit of Nvidia euphoria, but
true.
It's hard to read too much into it because we're used to the gap up and then slight pullback early. So it's hard to attribute, was this just the regular pre-market pullback when everything is gapped up because Nvidia dragged them higher? Or are we actually reacting to this? Like if you look at a few names, like you could make the argument that say like Broadcom here, maybe it's fallen further back than it would have. You could try to say that, like Qualcomm, you could try to make that argument, but I don't want to read too much into this. If we give up all of the gains and then tomorrow look weak, then maybe this is a bit of a problem. Or what I think we should be doing is what you always do. If everything has been dragged up by Nvidia, who ends up relatively weak today? And if that starts to align, okay, well, if it's true that Qualcomm ends up relatively weak, then we can put some emphasis on that going forward. But I'm not going to read too much into it. Just kind of slid this one in here at the right time, and it's not going to do the kind of damage that you would have normally thought, it seems.
Yeah, and I promise, guys, we will talk more NVIDIA earnings and more of these specific earnings reports at the rundown, so don't go anywhere. We're just going to start with some market-wide stories. That being said, I am seeing some price targets for NVIDIA. It looks like most of these analysts are raising their price targets. You've got Melius with a $425 price target, Bernstein with a $400 price target. A lot of these analysts above $300 now after this report. So good look there. These analysts are still understandably bullish on NVIDIA. I want to talk about these two individuals again because it's been a while since we've mentioned them. On the left, you've got Fed's Governor Lisa Cook. On the right, you have Bill Pulte, who runs the Federal Housing Agency. Now, these two are back in focus because, unfortunately, even though the Supreme Court ruled that President Trump cannot fire Fed's Cook, looks like they're trying again because that ruling did not preclude them from going about it another way.
Adara, so as of yesterday, Abby Lowell, who is the attorney for Fed Governor Lisa Cook, has pushed back U.S. President Donald Trump's decision that the Supreme Court had blocked so that he would not be able to fire her. But this has come up again. There's a revived effort from Trump to remove her from the central bank, telling the White, but this pushback from the attorney is telling the White House in a 5-page letter that these allegations of mortgage fraud against her are, quote unquote, remain unfounded and untrue. So the Supreme Court has already, as you do know it, as late of June, like I mentioned, blocked the removal of Lisa Cook, but Trump is attempting to do so yet again. So as of yesterday, Cook has said that she had referred to one of the 2 homes in some documents as a quote unquote vacation home and had not been looking to deceive lenders. And she's also said that any errors were unintentional and did not rise to a level that justified her firing. So if Trump is able to remove Cook, he can now potentially name a replacement for her, Adara. You do know that. And his appointees would gain a majority on the Fed's board. That is also something that we are very well aware of, is a situation that could arise out of it. So we're also aware of the fact that the president has been attacking the Fed for a while now for not cutting its benchmark interest rates really quickly.
Well, I think the thing, too, with the whole Fed majority is that doesn't necessarily mean anything from a practical standpoint. Like, other than Fed's Myron continuously voting for rate cuts, we have other people who were appointed by Trump, like Fed's Waller and Fed's Bowman, and they really, for the most part, with a couple exceptions, voted with the majority, right? So it's a group. One Fed member isn't really going to push it necessarily, but a few could. So I guess, Neil, do you think this renewed call is a real threat for Fed independence, or is it more just kind of a smokescreen?
Well, I mean, it's a threat for Fed independence. I mean, Goolsby's literally saying that this morning, and it's not incorrect. Like, whatever side of value you on, and I suppose in the reality, both sides are always going to be doing this. But yeah, like to put pressure on to get an appointee that you like is just a part of the game. It's what happens in the Supreme Court. But it's like you said, Adara. At this point, it's not mattering because the point is to try to get rates lower, right? Like that's what you accomplish if you oust her and get someone in who's more amenable to that. But it doesn't make a difference if nothing is allowing them to lower rates.
Yeah.
Like at best, we're in a keep rates pause situation, unfortunately, and that's kind of where we're at. So it's not like I don't want to call it a nothing burger because let's be real. Every time there's a threat to Fed independence or any central bank independence, but obviously the Fed matters the most, you do see some shocks in the bond market, and you can see them, start to freak out a little bit. So like those reactions matter. You can't ignore the bond market forever, and to the extent that could provide a shock, then we'd feel it certainly in the equity market. But rates aren't going down anytime soon, and there's really no sign that is going to be true. And we're still sitting at a 66% chance that they go nowhere, but that still means a 1/3 that we get a hike. And then when you move it out to December, because I haven't looked at that this morning. What's going on here? Move it out to December. Let's double check. It's probably the same as it was yesterday. Yeah, it's about the same. Like you're looking at 45% shot that it's only one, and then we'll get 28% that we get a couple of hikes by the end of the year. So we're still very much pricing in rate hikes. So what we'd be discussing here is really just, does the bond market freak out because there's some influence on the Fed? Not about whether we're lowering rates. So you can forget about that for now.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, too, because you mentioned this, Neil, and I just put the headline on the screen briefly there, but Fed's Goolsby actually saying directly that political interference in central banks generally leads to inflation. So his argument is basically saying, hey, administration, if you keep doing this, you're going to get more inflation, which is going to make it even harder to cut rates. I mean, Sean, what are your thoughts on this whole situation?
I mean, I think Sia talked about it there, and I think it's just a battle for a board seat. I think Trump wants her gone. Listing 2 properties, one by accident, apparently. I mean, this is really what we're talking about. Someone's going to lose their job for this kind of a reason. Obviously, this has become personal. It was like that. I don't know. How old is this story? Year and a half?
It's about a year old. I think it was started on August 20th of 2025, right. So it's just over a year old now. And if I may, really quickly, Sean, as well, I was looking into it, and her initial appointment to the board had a lot of back and forth, and
right.
She was the only Biden Fed appointee that had that kind of backlash.
Okay, so this is what I mean. I think it's, this administration, especially from the top, has taken things personal at some points, to say the least, I guess, right? I can't even say it with a straight face. But at the end of the day, I do think it's a battle for a board seat. And it's not going to change the way the policy flow happens here, right? I think we are, as Neil just extended it out into December, we're going to get, most likely the next move is a rate hike, just a matter of how many before December gets coming through. Every round that we keep talking about this, we keep on focusing on Fed independence. And I think that's the most important thing. We need to make sure that the Fed is independent, from the greater good of, the government, and they continue to make the right monetary decisions, not based on, who the president is, based on what the economy needs and what the economic numbers are telling us, right? And so I think this is all just a little bit of a smokescreen in order to give Warsh a little bit more time. I mean, he has these task forces. We're going to hear what he has to say tomorrow at Jackson Hole, which I'm sure we're going to cover a little bit more here as we go. But to me, it just seems like a lot of back and forth, a lot of lawyer talk, and just to try to get this seat removed. I don't know if I hope she stays or leaves. It doesn't really matter to me. But at the end of the day, I think it's just some political back and forth.
Yeah, and she's honestly been pretty neutral if you look at her comments. So I think it's kind of an interesting look. I mean, Sia, I know you said you had some more thoughts on this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was reading about this a bit in depth as well, and bouncing off of Sean's comments, the attorney also, Abby Lowell, also noted that Trump himself, with others in the administration, including Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and also Attorney General Todd Blanche, have reportedly listed 2 properties as well that have not resulted in removals. So this does seem like a bit of a political angle for me as well.
Yeah, and let's get into this angle from Mark Benioff on SaaSpocalypse. Now, kind of mirroring comments that we had a while back earlier this year from CrowdStrike CEO George Kurtz, whose company we will discuss later. We know that now this is another CEO kind of saying that any concerns about AI taking over the company are, quote, nonsense. That's what Mark Benioff said here. And he specifically also said that, our AI can actually work with CRM, not against it. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And reading that report, I was a bit confused. Like you and I talked a bit off camera as well. That is a rather, I would say, bold statement for me. So the CEO of CRM, Mark Benioff, like Adara mentioned, said that this SaaS apocalypse narrative has been such nonsense and that frontier models depend on CRM. They don't replace it. So Benioff has also pointed to Claude Force that was announced late yesterday, not late yesterday, while we were during market hours as well, that it's a clear signal as Force of CRM being a strong foundation for AI agents, and also noted that models such as Claude rely on customer data, business context, and workflows that are housed on Salesforce's platform. So I'm curious to see where this leads, Adara. I'm curious to see where this angle goes particularly, but just diving a little bit into what Claude Force is. So we saw that announcement. Claude Force, which will basically give Claude direct access to this customer data and other information that is stored in Salesforce.
Yeah, we're going to dive more into this Claude Force story in a second because I want Sean and Neil's opinions for sure. In the meantime, though, we're going to quickly go over to see how things are going in options with Joe.
All right, guys, good morning and welcome. Let's take a look at some of the options activity in yesterday's session. Now, it's really important because we've been talking about this level, and I know we've been talking about NVDA quite often, but it's important to note and recognize what we got going on from a supply standpoint and just the price action revolving around it. So we're going to be heading right back to this $230 marker because there's a couple of things that are starting to stand out to me. Now, and we'll get into it momentarily as we talk about this contract. So $230, 210,000 contracts. So we have to look at this as potential, okay, we have a supply zone, but what happens if this supply zone happens to be breached and people start to hit the panic button? We'll get into that momentarily, but first we have 85,000 contracts open and closed on yesterday's session. And you can see these contracts aren't worth very much at this given moment. It will change after the open, so you'll see that increase in premium considering we are closer to the strike price. This is going based off of yesterday's close, okay? So our delta sitting around 12, that's going to increase as well too. Why? Because we're closer to at the money. Our gamma exposure going to increase, and Vega sitting around 3 cents, all right? So nothing crazy. Now, taking a couple of steps back, what happens if we were to breach this $230 marker, okay? Well, this is what we can get into in a name with this size and this market cap. We don't typically see that this too often, okay? But the words I'm about to say are gamma squeeze. Why? So let's break it down a little bit. So you have all of these out of the money contracts, and what your delta is essentially is your gas pedal. We'll put it in that reference. But then your gamma can act as like NOS, something that can make the car go extremely faster and rev up. So as you accelerate towards this specific strike price, your gamma is going to really start to increase. And when you have a mass amount of contracts congested in one specific area and one strike price, it all adds up. And then once you breach it, because the objective is for you to close under the value so you can collect the premium because there's an individual on the other side of the contract, most likely the market maker, who is short these contracts, right? One buyer, one seller. So someone is short. So what happens when you are short these contracts? Well, what you are is essentially, if you get assigned, you're going to be short NVDA from $230. They don't want that to happen. So what happens is they start to buy back shares, and that can just add an extreme fuel to the fire, just igniting everything, hence why you fall into a gamma squeeze. And I'm not saying that's necessarily going to be the scenario that happens today, but if we do pick up momentum and we run into this $230 marker, there's the chance that it may happen, and it can set up a pretty good trade opportunity. So a $230 break is something that could potentially be on the table. Now, once again, it doesn't necessarily have to happen. You want to watch how price reacts around that level, but I would keep an eye on it just in case we do breach, because the momentum, currently we're up 6.4%, and that's not too bad. We beat the expected move. We weren't thinking that, and we started to climb a little bit higher. So that's what I have my eyes on here, potential 230 break here on NVDA with a slight gamma squeeze here. Moving forward, let's take a look at another strategy. We'll run through this quick. Now, we've been talking about this quite often. In sideways markets, how do we take advantage of it? Joe, I'm getting chopped up. My swing trades aren't working. Well, here's a strategy that I used to run and was one of my favorite. All right, so there's going to be two legs to this specific strategy. It's called an IREN condor. Now, what it is just a combination between a bear call spread and a bull put spread. All right, so it's a non-directional bias trade. So you don't have to, the stock can go up, the stock can go down, or the underlying can go up and go down, but as long as it doesn't exceed your short strike prices on both the call and the put side, you have the ability to make a profit within this specific strategy, okay? So what we have here is, it's range trading without having to pick a direction. So just the way I have it set up is just picture your short call here and your short put, and as long as the underlying stays within that threshold, you get to collect a premium, and you've now put on a winning trade. Now, moving forward, 780, you're going to be collecting 32 cents here. Now, these are going to be on our call side. How can we identify this? Our positive delta here, but our short contract will be in the red. So you're going to be collecting 32 cents. It's going to be expiring on the 31st of August. And then as for the purchase, your protection, you're going to be buying the 785, constructing a $5 spread. Even though you're only collecting $22, you also have to look at the probability of profit. But when you combine them and you add multiple legs, it makes a little bit more sense. So there's your bear call spread there. And then moving forward, what you'll see is our short strike here at the highs, and then our protection put at the lower end of the range, where you'll collect a little bit around $60 itself. $1.26 is the collection, and then you'll be paying 67 cents. But this is the range. If you pull up the SPY, we have the 758 as our low, and then also the 780 as our high. So we're right at the lower end of support and the higher end of the resistance zone, okay? Now, moving forward, we'll take a look at what we have going on here, both expiring on the 31st. And how do we identify that this is a put? Well, our delta is negative. So when we move in a sideways market, and I can pull up my chart here right now, it looks exactly like this. Okay? So here's our 780. Here's your 758. And at that point, as long as the SPY stays within this range, by August 31st, you have the ability to collect a premium. So there's a little bit better of a visual. That's your IREN condor setup. There's your options plays for today. Let's send it back to Adara.
Right now, at this point, we're about 3 minutes away from the initial jobless claims print at 8:30. Before we get into that, though, Sean, I know you and I make fun a lot of those comments that CEO of CrowdStrike, George Kurtz, made, saying, oh, Claude said it can't replace my company.
Right.
Do you view these comments from Mark Benioff dismissing the SaaS apocalypse as kind of similar? I mean, what are your thoughts here?
No, I mean, I think it's awesome. I think Mark Benioff, I mean, you know, one of the smartest guys in the room. I think Mark Benioff is well respected on Wall Street as, you know, one of the top CEOs and a mind for this. And what he's basically wound up doing here is, I mean, 9 of the top 10 AI companies are using Salesforce and Slack. Their spend is up 435% this year, right? They didn't lose seat licenses, they gained seat licenses. Agentforce got 2,000 more subscriptions into it this year, right? So I think it's all about working together. And I think a lot of us thought that, and you talked about and we'll get to CrowdStrike as well. But you know, we talked about how is AI going to replace a lot of the current models? The problem is a lot of these businesses already have workflows that are already generated using, you know, Salesforce's models and Agentforce and their AI. So what all they've done is sort of add Anthropic, and they get a double win here, right? Because they get on the investment of Anthropic, that's a win. Salesforce is an early investor in Anthropic, and you also get the win now with the software being implemented on the back end to create a better experience for a lot of these companies. So I think Salesforce wins, and I think that's part of the reason why you are seeing a CrowdStrike. I mean, they have great numbers, but why a lot of these SaaS names can work with the current environment, not against it. So I think Mark Benioff once again shows up and proves that. And I mean, just look at the Salesforce stock. I mean, you know, it got pummeled. That was down to 152, you know, back in late July. Now you're up to 229 and change right now. Well, I mean, it's getting hit now, 226. But what a great quarter for Salesforce. And I think a lot of the pressure now off of Mark Benioff and company, because they've now proven that they can win in this current environment, Adara.
Yeah, I mean, right now we're about 30 seconds away here from the initial jobless claims. Neil, if you want to share your thoughts here afterwards on CRM, we can definitely do that. But I want to get into what we're expecting here from the initial jobless claims print. 208,000 is the forecast. 206,000 is the prior number. Continued jobless claims, we had 1.792 million as the forecast. 1.799 million is the previous print. We're also going to be getting wholesale inventories month over month. Bit of a smaller number here to keep an eye on. That we're expecting here 0.2% versus 0.2% expected, so expecting in line. Also got the advanced goods trades balance at negative $118.8 billion. That just came through. That's going to be lower than the 100.5 billion expected. And initial jobless claims come in lower than expected. So 203,000 versus 208,000 expected. That's a better than expected initial jobless claims print. Wholesale inventories well above expectations, 1.3% versus that 0.2% estimate. And again, guys, that advanced good trades balance negative $118.8 billion. We were looking for negative 100.5 billion. Not much of a reaction here on the NASDAQ. I mean, Neil, what, if anything, is jumping out for you in those numbers? And also, if you have any thoughts to share on the CRM comments.
I mean, looking at the numbers, not really. I mean, they're kind of better, but I don't think it's anything that's going to move the needle. And in reality, it always comes down to like later revisions when we're talking about anything in the jobs market. That said, the market didn't even move on that. Like I was looking at the SPY, and I was waiting for the SPY to actually do something, which I don't think we're surprised that it's not going to move. Like we have a lot of earnings to digest, and the market's going to go to a certain extent as Nvidia goes. I mean, really, the only thing I wanted to add is like the proof of what Benioff was saying and what Sean was saying as well was like Agentforce grew 240% year over year. So like there's monetization which is already happening. If you were to try to take I suppose the other side of it, if you wanted to play devil's advocate, because I did see, like, there's a couple of concerns you could have. One of them, Craig Makes Music in the chat pointed this one out and asked this question. He was saying it isn't giving Anthropic access to all CRM customer data. The only thing CRM has that Anthropic doesn't, once Anthropic gets that, they will just copy CRM business. No, it's a fair question. I think another concern might simply be, okay, well, Salesforce, you just get to be the database and all the workflow goes to Anthropic and they get paid for that. And then over time, they lose growth because of that dynamic. So I think those might be the two things. If you're going to play devil's advocate here, I tend to play it on the bullish side because people take the easiest path. They're already embedded. I think it's a good partnership. The stock seems to like it as well. So it's kind of like a ball does lie moment. But you can start to think of maybe some reasons why this might not be as rosy. Even if that's not my opinion, it's worth acknowledging.
Well, I want to mention as well here and acknowledge, I guess, to use that wording because I like it. We have the White House, specifically outgoing White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. She said that all options are available regarding Iran, mirroring comments from Trump. However, she also said that they're not in any negotiations right now. I want to talk about comments from another CEO. These ones aren't necessarily moving the stocks involved, but I think it's a really interesting conversation given how hot this sector is, and that's Neoclouds. So Nikesh Arora, CEO of Palo Alto Networks, went on a little bit of a rant here, quote tweeting and sharing his thoughts on some of these Neoclouds, saying in 2 years from now, you'll be able to buy one for less than they raise at today. Just saying. If you go to his pinned post, he literally says the only attraction for him to use X is the quote, the ability for me to say it in my own words when I want and how I want. So this is kind of par for the course for him.
Adara, like I said off camera to you in our discussion, CoreWeave, Nebius, IREN also jumped after this. They're all bouncing off of Nvidia's earnings. The stocks don't really seem to care about these comments. But you're right, Nikesh Arora making these comments like in 2 years from now, you will be able to buy a Neocloud for less than they raise at today. And Neoclouds are a CapEx and IRR business. When supply demand finds balance, equity will normalize. That's what he's saying here. And also that equity to fund CapEx only works in a euphoric market. So basically, warning that Neocloud valuations could collapse once the supply catches up with it.
Yeah, I think this is it's an interesting look, and I think this is not really a short-term story. I think this is kind of a longer-term story about how these Neoclouds are viewed. Sean, Neocloud's hot space right now. Do you think there's any validity to what's being said here? Do you think that the tide can turn, and when do you think that could happen?
We're using Neoclouds because we want to get access to the cloud and to compute, right? And the point is that as supply comes back on, I feel like this is a no-brainer kind of comment, and maybe something that we should have been thinking about before if you're an investor in CoreWeave or Nebius. And it's not hitting the stock or anything right now, but at the end of the day, I think the more opportunity to purchase GPUs, I think about if you're building a data center in 2029, for example, or a couple years down the road, whatever it is, are you going to be using the current chips or older chips? And I think that there's going to be a use for older chips. I mean, I think, if you're going out to buy a computer right now, you could buy one that was 5 years ago. You'd still be able to play your video games but you're not going to be able to run some of these agents as easily as you may want to, right? So I think CoreWeave and Nebius, they themselves are going to have to keep on buying new GPUs to keep up with the times. But if supply catches up to demand, then all of a sudden, some of these mega CapEx players aren't going to need to go to CoreWeave or Nebius anymore. They're going to be able to go to Nvidia themselves or go to Marvell. I mean, look, we have the TPUs are being built, Neil, by Google and by Amazon right now, right? So are these Neoclouds still going to be a thing 4 or 5 years down the road once there's an abundance of supply, hoping that there's an abundance of supply? We saw Nvidia yesterday say that they've gone out and purchased all the memory that they need, and they're good to go, and their production's still continuing higher, which is why you see Nvidia making the move that they're doing. I just feel like CoreWeave, and if we look at the stock, I didn't actually get a chance too much to look at it today. I saw that it was up overnight. I mean, obviously, as I said, high tide raises all ships.
Exactly.
But I do think that there is a little bit of a worry here. They fit the bill for now. Will these Neocloud plays still be around in 4 or 5 years? I think yes, to the same extent. Unfortunately, I think no.
Well, I just want to say quickly, Neil, before we get into this, one thing that I think is interesting too is you get CoreWeave and Nebius joining the NASDAQ at the exact same time. I mean, sometimes if you guys remember what happened with SMCI, this can be a sign of at least short, and I'm not comparing them to SMCI, but I'm saying it can be a sign of maybe short-term hype. Do you think that at least, in the short term, we could see a bit of a cooling off for now? Because I think Sean made some really valid points there. I'm curious as to your thoughts.
Well, I'm always concerned about CoreWeave's debt. But I just want, for all those out there, let's just pray for, I don't own Nebius or CoreWeave, but for everyone that does, let's just hope it's not, they're never an SMCI situation. You never want to see that.
No, and maybe not the best comparison, but I just mean the timing of their rise.
Yeah, because it wasn't, SMCI was one for the textbooks, in my opinion. And certainly I hope my daughter reads about it in school. I'm sure she will. No, I think this comes down to more of a timing thing, because you saw it back with fiber in 2000, and then I guess the most recent example would be look at the miners in 2021. You're absolutely printing money if you're early capital, and if you're late, then you're screwed. But it's a matter of, okay, well then when does the clock run out for CoreWeave and Nebius? The way I look at it between the two is I don't know when the clock runs out, but I know who's holding the most debt right now has the worst debt to equity ratio. It's going to be CoreWeave. So that's the one that concerns me, because they have that weaker fundamental. But again, you don't know when the clock is running out. Are we talking 2 years, 4 years? I don't know. He's right, but that's fine. But when was it the right time to dump some of the miners that eventually did? That's not an easy thing to predict. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I can. Look, obviously Nikesh is incredibly smart, and he's pointing out something which is true. I don't know how actionable it is right now.
Yes.
Because you could say, I don't know, maybe Michael Burry has some idea of when to short this or when that's, I have no clue. For now, you ride the wave.
I'm sure Michael Burry has many ideas about when to short things.
I use him because it's the first thing that comes to mind. It is what it is. But I'd be more concerned for CoreWeave because of their debt. I just wouldn't know how you time it. That's all.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point as well. And one of the reasons that I found it interesting, even though there wasn't a stock move, is I think it just shows so much about the sentiment going forward, especially as Nikesh said himself, he's a very tell it like it is or tell it like he sees it kind of guy. So I thought that was a pretty interesting look. I want to pivot over here to Hugging Face, because there are two Hugging Face catalysts, and kind of very similar to what we had with the Nvidia earnings report and this political report and semiconductor tariffs coming out at the same time. The timing of this is interesting. We're going to talk about the reported Nvidia acquisition in a minute, but I kind of want to focus on the actual Hugging Face breach from these OpenAI models. We know this came out. OpenAI admitted it. They've now released, I have to admit, a very reader-friendly 37-page report on what actually happened here with this incident. And again, the same night, we get reports that NVIDIA is going to acquire them for just under $13 million.
Is that a coincidence? Well, I'm kidding, just only kidding. But you have a report basically covering how these AI models that successfully breached Hugging Face as of last month. And you're right, Adara, it's around 37 to 38 pages long, very user-friendly. I skimmed through it myself, did not have a hard time understanding anything. But it basically chronicles the actions that OpenAI's models took during a series of evaluations prior to and during the breach, which OpenAI has characterized as quote-unquote an unprecedented cyber incident. So the company has also explained the steps that it's tried to take to prevent and also to prevent a similar event from ever happening again by improving its security as well as its containment, monitoring model behavior, also incident response. So the company has determined that its internal only research model had the quote-unquote broadest confirmed role in this incident, according to this report, and OpenAI has stopped all training and inference related to that model as of and on July 25th.
Yeah, and of course, also you have this reported, and again, it's from the information whose reports NVIDIA often denies, at least twice in the last couple months. But they also have, that reported acquisition of Hugging Face for $12.9 billion. I'll start with you here, Sean. I'm curious as to if you think this Hugging Face almost reckoning here by OpenAI, do you think that this may be an attempt to repair their reputation ahead of that potential IPO? Because we've had a lot of hits to said reputation, especially in recent weeks.
That's what I was going to say. I think this is like two stories, right? Like one is a pretty ugly one for OpenAI, and the fact that they're not able to control sort of their own agents are being hacked in there. That wasn't good. Bad look before the IPO, as you're saying. And I think we just had also not Karl Malone, Chris Malone leave the other day as well, right? As part of their data centers. So, so that's not great. But this is a good story for NVIDIA, I think. I mean, if they're able to buy Hugging Face, buying the open source, hangout for the developers is a good thing, I think, and it's nice to have sort of underneath your belt there, and it is a good purpose for OpenAI, getting one of their products bought out. You said $12 billion or so there. 15, I think, but what are the chances of this actually happening? I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's negative look there for OpenAI heading into their IPO. For me, it's too bad we can't really invest in OpenAI and have a look at what their stock is doing when we get reports like this. But yeah, just a little worried about maybe NVIDIA and the whole group getting too involved with each other potentially. We talked about the circular financing. You actually mentioned yesterday the bank of AI now seems to be NVIDIA. So maybe they're here to bail out OpenAI with this Hugging Face purchase. But I like it. I don't know much about it. But to me, it's a negative outlook for OpenAI, but kind of a positive one for NVIDIA.
Yeah, I want to kind of turn to our M&A acquisition resident. You look at a lot of these deals, Neil. So what I find is interesting here is when you read through this, and I haven't read through the whole thing yet, but it seems like Hugging Face got hacked pretty quickly. How do you feel about NVIDIA's acquisition of them with that in mind? Because it made my eyebrows raise a little bit, and I'd have to read more about it, but it's kind of an odd look from that perspective for me.
They call Hugging Face what? The town square?
Guess so, yeah.
How do you get a nickname like the town? Like, first of all, it's bad. It's just bad. It's a bad story for them, that hack, because the town square. But come on, you're gonna tell me that NVIDIA, the bank of AI, the one that's funding everything and everybody, the second to there's a little problem over here with town. Let's just the biggest and the baddest engulf them. I mean, if it was a bigger deal, you would see, if it was a public company and it was a bigger company and the same optics, the regulators would have a field day with that. Be like, what are you talking about? No way we're gonna let you do that. But we're not even at that point yet, right? So this is something which is it's not confirmed. I know there was other interest, and apparently the NVIDIA was only interested when somebody else was. It's like, what? You think you could do that? No, we'll get them first. We got more money. So it could have been that situation, but it's not even a done deal.
No.
So you don't have, it's not firm. We could easily get a denial about this today, tomorrow, next week, or there's just nothing further could come of it. But the optics are bad. I don't think it matters necessarily for NVIDIA. It's chump change for them. If we're not more concerned because they're buying them. It's not a bad story for NVIDIA. I think the more important thing, when I'm thinking about OpenAI, it's really just about the timing of the IPO for them. It just seems to me like OpenAI, it's like every piece of bad press is amplified, and everyone wants to be focused on the good for everybody else.
I've noticed
for the
that
last I don't know, maybe 6 to 8 months, it's felt that way with OpenAI. And can they change that narrative by the time the IPO comes in? And that's part of why we're looking at 2027, I think, and not this year for the IPO, because the IPOs are all about perception. Can you manage to get yourself to market when everyone loves you and everyone's excited about you? And if you miss that moment, which it feels like they did, because be a different story if it had been in the beginning of this year. And it feels like they did. How far do they have to push it out to change that? So I don't know that this story is that big of a deal, the acquisition, but I have some concerns with OpenAI at least relative to Anthropic.
Yeah, and on the perception side of things, I want to mention something, Neil, which I think is pretty interesting. OpenAI is getting its version of the Social Network movie. That's going to come out either late this year or early next year. It's called Artificial, starring Social Network vet Andrew Garfield as Sam Altman. So that could be another perception hit potentially for OpenAI, at least on some level, which I think is the timing of that movie is pretty interesting to me. But I want to talk about some of these memory names as well here, because here is SanDisk to the upside. They are directly implicated in this story here about Kioxia, which is, they're investing in this Japanese fab as part of this SanDisk Kioxia tie-up. And it's interesting too, because this, of course, announcement comes as we have a lot of concerns about the memory supply.
The companies together are investing over $31 billion in USD, of course, through the year 2032 to drive this semiconductor technology and expand production capacity. As, of course, we do know it, the reason being that the AI boom is boosting and demand for memory chips is falling a bit short. So the joint investment is contingent on quote-unquote government support. This is coming from the statement. So the 6-year investment plan will encircle a new memory chip production facility that will be built at Kioxia's Kitakami plant in northern Japan. Now, just was reading a bit about Kitakami and Kioxia as well. So Kioxia was once seen as a symbol of Japan's chip-making struggles, so it will now experience growth that is a good, nicer outlook for this year. So this investment of 1.8 trillion yen, that amounts to around $11.30 billion, according to Kioxia CEO Hiroshi Uta. And Kioxia's manufacturing 10th generation BICS, that is bit-cost flash memory, that is being developed with SNDK at the Kitakami plant. And Ota and SanDisk CEO David, I'm so sorry, have met with Prime Minister Sanae Takahashi as of early today as well in Japan.
Yeah, I mean, I guess all these memory names looking pretty similar here. Neil, I know you trade DRAM on I would say, a semi-frequent basis. Is this one that you'd be watching today?
I think you have to be, because part of what, I hate to always come back to it, but it's completely unavoidable right now. Like Nvidia, what the guidance and on the call, what they're able to tell you is that, hey, demand is not going to be an issue till through 2028. I shouldn't say until, through 2028. And if you think about the memory names, that just made everyone's complaint. The reason why they're cheap, right? And whether it's Micron, it's single-digit P, and SK Hynix, and you're not going to get SanDisk at that. But part of the reason is everybody thinks it's going to end up cyclical, and when does the last shoe drop? Well, we just pushed it out. NVIDIA just pushed that out another year. So like that, it helps to reaffirm this trade. I mean, SanDisk specifically, and a lot of the names are going to look relatively the same. SanDisk literally today is trying to break short-term downtrend and trying to regain the 50-period moving average. You get this fab build-out when it's easier to justify the fab build-out when NVIDIA just reported these numbers. Like the timing couldn't be better to drop this on us, realistically. So yeah, it's positive for it. I am going to be looking at DRAM today. Obviously, everything flows from NVIDIA. How deep does the pullback get from the pre-market? For sure. But the memory names, they just got a longer runway. That's the way I want to put it. It feels like NVIDIA just gave them a longer runway, and now is a great time to announce some spending, realistically. It's the same way that the Trump news about the tariffs, like it's a good timing for it because the market can absorb it. This is a good day for the market to absorb more spending as well.
So Sean, before we go to Joe with the upgrades and downgrades, at Katina Capital, what is your upgrade here, as you like to call it? All, if you could upgrade one of these memory names, maybe even on the
only
longer
one,
term.
Joe has made it perfectly clear that it's actually Wilson Katina Capital. So we got to start with the Wilson part first. And I have to make all decisions have to go through Joe at first point. We have to run it through some AI, and then we got to go to Joe, and we got to figure it out. And then Sharif runs it through AI, and then we get it all going. And Adair, you're one of our top analysts as well. So there's a lot that has to happen before we make any moves here. But I think this Kioxia and SanDisk deal is great. I mean, they're looking for some help from the Japanese government. That's great. We know the U.S. government has put some money into this space as well. All this is doing is confirming the shortage. As Neil just said, NVIDIA came out, the demand is there, the demand is here again, or they wouldn't be building more plants. Does it fix the problem in the short term? No. This is, as C had mentioned here, we're looking at 5 to 6 years before this plant even gets up and running. So, you know, where is AI going to be in 5 or 6 years? Obviously, they believe it's still going to be here. This is an AI data center play, right? Again, one more time, it's building of the chips to help support this play. I think it's great. I mean, obviously, as an investor in the space and quite a heavy one, not in SanDisk individually, but just in the overall NASDAQ frame right now. I think this is good. I think it confirms, you know, the demand is there. We just got a great number. We're going to have some more numbers tonight from Marvell. That should help the space as well. But yeah, this is not great for anybody that needs chips now. It's great for the supply moving forward. Hopefully, pricing power can come in a little bit there as supply hits the market. But yeah, for now, I think it's still an upside move for Micron, SanDisk, WDC, and the rest of them. You can see by the chart here, I mean, SanDisk's high, $2,400, now down into 15. I still think there's a little bit of a runway. I love that we just bounced, as Neil mentioned, off to 200 and holding the 50-period moving average. We're gonna go higher here on SanDisk. Great to get involved with more names. I think SanDisk is something that you should probably have in your portfolio. I don't. Maybe I should. SanDisk, I like it.
Now let's see what upside and downside moves the market might be liking here with Joe at upgrades and downgrades.
Thank you very much, Adara. All right, guys, welcome back. Let's take a look at some of the analyst actions here this morning. We're going to kick things off with some downgrades, as we typically do. At the top of our list, a little bit of a short list here today, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we're down 2.6% here in Novo Nordisk, but we're also getting the downgrade going from a hold to a sell. And 290 Danish kroner, that's down to 265, all right? Deutsche Bank giving them the downgrade. But the firm notes, now that this new investigational drug is completely off the table, I'm not going to try to pronounce, I will try ziltivekimab, whatever that may be, effectively out of the picture. Part of the reason for the downgrade, the firm also notes that Medicare prescription upside seems limited. So going from a hold to a sell and about a $25 price target reduction there, guys. Now moving forward, CrowdStrike at the top of our list, up 8%, a little bit more, 9.2% here. Now we're holding that buy rating, but we're going to get a pretty big increase here on our price target. Rosenblatt, $250, that's up from $206. Now we know Crowd beat every metric, then did the thing that matters most. It put the beat into full year outlook and then added on top of it. Management called it the best quarter in the company's history, so that's the reason for Rosenblatt's upgrade and price target increase this morning. Last but not least, a name that we've been covering throughout the day. We'll see what some of the analysts think about it this morning as well, too. Up 6.25%, a little bit less than that 6%. We'll call it flat now. $300 price target. That's up from $270. Needham liking what they're seeing. The company delivered a Q2 beat and guided Q3 revenue above expectations, driven by continued strength across data center revenue. The firm also addressed its concern in regards to this circular financing ordeal. Those are your analyst actions this morning, guys. Let's send it back to Adara.
Yeah, and a lot of those names, especially Nvidia and CrowdStrike for sure, going to be mentioned here during our rundown. So guys, don't go anywhere. It's going to start in just 8 minutes. But before we get that rundown, I want to go over some earnings names that we're not going to get a chance to tackle when we get to the rundown. I want to talk about DLTR and DG, because these dollar stores, both in focus, making some very different moves and some very different earnings report. I do want to thank the individual here in the chat for the super chat. I cannot see the name, but thank you for your contribution to the show. Always very grateful to the people who are here with us. Let's talk, though, some DG and DLTR.
Let's talk about that, Adara. Absolutely. Just gonna pull up the chart. Yeah. So Dollar Tree overall has exceeded analyst expectations, but there was weaker guidance. That is why. Just gonna pull that stock. The stock was falling a little bit over here. That you can see adjusted earnings per share of $2.70, significantly surpassing the analyst expectations and consensus of $1.11. And revenue has reached $4.9 billion, topping estimates of $4.85 billion, representing a 7% increase year over year. So comparable net sales are up 3.7%. This quarter's results also have included a $1.31 per share benefit that is related to the net impact of tariff refunds. And the company's third quarter guidance, like I said, has disappointed investors. Adjusted EPS is what they're seeing of the range of 80 cents to 95 cents, Adara, with a midpoint of 88 cents, and that includes an approximate 50-cent impact related to tariff refund reinvestments. below the consensus of $1.39. And the company's projecting third quarter comparable store net sales growth of the range 3% to 4% on revenue of $5 billion to $5.1 billion.
Dollar Tree or Dollar General, which one do you prefer here long term? I'll start with you, Neil.
You know, in the long-term sense, I'll still ride with Dollar Tree. I think, but for this quarter, you care where the stock has come from. So you have two things. Maybe it was going into resistance. It had more tariff noise than the former, than Dollar General. So you could easily say that they both guided higher. Everything looked pretty good on the surface, but a lot of the EPS was more driven by the tariff noise with Dollar Tree. You juxtapose that with Dollar General, and if you look at it, again, you do have to come to the chart. Like Dollar Tree ran precipitously. Like it was up $50 bucks, so it was a good return, like 60% return, and then it was a triple top that it was running into. And then you go over to Dollar General, which had been, I don't want to say bled, but it got hit a heck of a lot harder, and it didn't run quite as crazily into this print. It was a little bit more, let's call it subdued. So they're both okay and they're both solid, but it does feel like this is one of those quarters where, well, one was at the high, and then we could say some of the gains was from the tariffs. That's an excuse to take some profits off. The other one was a little bit more organic, so the quarter looks a little bit better from that context, and it's at a breakout spot and was nowhere near the high with room to run. So like in the short term, yeah, Dollar General looks better in the short term. But if you go with that long-term aspect of it, I don't know that enough has diverged here that you can overreact to this. That's all.
Do you agree with that tale of two stories take here for DG and DLTR, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the story, but I would rather, for me, I'd rather roll with the horse that's right now, pushing higher. And it's just like Dollar General just broke out through this 128. We always talk about, what you're doing now versus what you're doing later. And I think that the guide by Dollar General was just so much better than Dollar Tree. And I think you want to ride momentum in the space, right? And I mean, if you're going to guide forward, they just had, 6 consecutive quarters for outpaced consumable sales. So, that was a good one. Comps were supported by digital adoption. So that's great too. They're obviously, lending into the AI side of it as well. Digitally with more ad space, so on and so forth. I like Dollar General. I think it's breaking out. That's all. It's just, ride the momentum until maybe it settles down a little bit and comes back in. But yeah, it's all about the guidance for me. Dollar stores are dollar stores. I mean, a lot of the products, at least around here anyways, pretty similar in each store. Just a matter of the shopping experience that you prefer. And I just think right now, same store sales, both really nice, 3.5% year over year and 3.7% over there in Dollar Tree. It's just one the stock market likes, one the market doesn't. I'm going to go with the one that the market is telling me is a winner right now, and that's Dollar General.
Yeah, fair point there. I'm just seeing some super chats, so I want to address these. B. Pikey asking if it's time to look into IREN, Cipher, and HUD-8. Thank you for that $1.99 super chat. Yeah, I mean, I guess we have IREN earnings tonight, so that's going to be in focus. CIFR and HUD, I believe, both have already reported for this quarter, or at least, not too much above made of those earnings. But I guess with a couple minutes here to go to the rundown, I'll start with you, Sean, if you don't mind. IREN, thoughts on earnings. Do you think this is going to be a mover? Because it has been in the
Yes. I mean, I think it's, that individual there in the chat, I think is right. I mean, IREN right now is consolidating near this $40 mark. It's right at the 50-period moving average. I do think there's going to be a move. I hope it's upside right there. The former Bitcoin miner, now Iris mining, turning into IREN right now. We just talked about the demand is quite high in compute power. These guys are a power play there, gigawatts. I just want to hear about the connection that they have with some of these CapEx spenders. We talked about Nebius and CoreWeave potentially, their side of things getting a little weaker on their story. I think IREN and the demand and use for power, they already have a lot of these plans set up because of the Bitcoin mining situation. So I think they're already a step ahead. Let's just make sure that, the guidance is proper moving forward for IREN. I think they're going to put up a good quarter, but what does the guidance say? And we just talked about that with the dollar stores. I think IREN just needs to show that they still do have big, corporate help here and that they're not backing away from any of those contracts. So yeah, I think IREN continues to work tonight. But again, to make a call before earnings, I think we heard yesterday, and This is why we took the other side of that Nvidia trade, was that there was so much negativity about, oh, it's down 7 of the last 8 days, you know. Can they continue to hold it? It's a $5 trillion company. A $5 trillion company can't move 5%. That's way too much market cap, right? There's too much money into Nvidia already. And then what do? They put out a number where now they're up 5-6%, right? So I think IREN, let it settle down here after earnings, and we just see what winds up happening. I think it's a risky stock to get into, but I do think it's worth the risk to reward. I'd buy calls rather than puts.
What levels are you watching on IREN, Neil?
Actually, I wanted to double check first what HUD had done. So HUD they did have a wider loss than expected. Good growth, but wider loss than expected. But they bounced the 200 period on their earnings. But it did take a pullback. Obviously, IREN's going to be in a different situation because they're coming post. B, they're also, they're coming out post Nvidia earnings. But the difference too is IREN, between the two of them, has actually broken this downtrend to a certain extent. Like the short-term downtrend got broken on IREN. So if it's 46.5, like that's a 200 period moving average. You close above there after earnings, and that's pretty bullish. And it already looks like a tad more bullish than HUD, and HUD was able to bounce after a couple of weeks on their earnings. So it does make the context of IREN even better because, again, when you have the fact that HUD lost more money than expected, that's going to put a low bar for them. They get to ride the coattails also of Nvidia, kind of pushing everybody forward. So yeah, this one does look a little bit better. I wouldn't say by a ton. They're both off a bit and haven't completely broken the trends because you still have downward sloping 50 and 200 periods.
Well, yeah, we're going to slope over here to our rundown, starting with, of course, NVDA, but how do you guys follow along? It's very simple. Just get our free Trader TV Live watch list. That's right, guys. $0.00. You can grab this through the link that's going to be here on your screen in just a second, or you can click the link in the description. Either way, takes you to the same place, gets you access to the stories that we're going to be looking at on the day. Percentage moves that are in focus, any earnings that are on the docket, economic events, all of that and more. Please get that watch list for free. And of course, as it says on the screen, NVIDIA beat earnings and how. This was a massive report for NVIDIA. They also announced, expanded partnership with Amazon, reportedly investing in Hugging Face, firing on all cylinders for NVIDIA and CEO Jensen Huang.
Adara, there's 3 angles to this NVIDIA story. There's the Hugging Face angle, you have the Amazon angle, and you have the earnings. So give me a bit of a time. We're going to cover everything. I want to talk to you about this as well. NVIDIA's reported adjusted earnings. We do know it. Earnings day 1 of $2.22 per share, beating the estimates of $2.09 per share. Revenue coming in at $96.2 billion, beating estimates of $92.18 billion. Data center revenue surging whoppingly 117% from a year ago to $89 billion. So NVIDIA's ACIE segment as well, that's inclusive of Neocloud, industrial, and enterprise customers, has jumped 138% to $40 billion. Now, the Hugging Face story here, NVIDIA's agreed to buy Hugging Face for $12.9 billion. Someone familiar with the matter had also spoken to CNBC and said that they can, quote unquote, confirm this acquisition by NVIDIA that has been ongoing and recent talks as well. So if this acquisition is completed, this would put Hugging Face under NVIDIA's ownership, which will expand NVDA's reach further into the software and model system. That is a good angle and outlook for them. Let's take a look at quickly this Amazon and NVIDIA angle here as well. They've announced an expansion of their collaboration to meet the surge in global demand for AI infrastructure as demand continues to accelerate. So this is the news. This is from the press release that the companies are planning to deploy 2 million additional NVIDIA GPUs across AWS's global infrastructure and deepen their work together across AI factories, CPUs, networking, open models, data processing, and robotics.
How are you guys feeling about NVIDIA from a trading standpoint here today?
NVIDIA reported?
Who?
Oh God, I better do some work over here quickly.
Well,
what's your symbol?
We know, look, we already can sort of see that we're pulling back a little bit here. It was a gap up more than I think most people expected. Like, even if you were bullish, I think most were expecting that we'd get underneath the expected move. That's where my expectation was. And we're pretty much right there. I think it settled at 5.8 or 5.9 for the expected move. We end up at 6. I still come back to that ACI. It's the cloud. What the heck? That fly, man. The cloud industrial enterprise growth. It was 138% year over year, and now accounts for like 40 billion of their sales. That's just it's a huge number, and of course the numbers are going to be good. But as we dip back in, I just look at prior sort of resistance levels. Like you end up in this gap. So if you go to the 17th and 18th, right? Like you end up in this gap here with 220. I know there's a rejection here, 222, but really to me, it's like the 220-ish resistance. So call it just between 20 and 22 and give it around that 21 zone. You get down into that, I think that resistance is the first place to look for some support. And then we're just trading inside that to the 25 until proven otherwise. You know, it's not to say that it can't trade outside of the range, but that's my expectation, at least early on here today. It was a fantastic quarter. Again, the rise of tide lifts all ships, but it didn't take us into a new realm per se. It just put us firmly into that gap, which is where I want to play. So we're at 22s now. Plenty of time for it to retest at the open, you know, the 220, the 221. And then remember, like at around 925 or so, when the imbalances start to trickle in, you might see a number. So don't get shocked by a, you know, $1.5 move on Nvidia within a matter of seconds in the 5 minutes to the open. That will be as expected. I wouldn't overreact to it. Oftentimes, you'll probably see it almost like immediately revert when that imbalance comes out too.
Yeah, I just want to remind everybody that I'm just writing it down on the sticky note right now. It's going to be late. It could probably come out around 9:20. It's just that, you know, 6 of the last 8 earnings calls, or day one after the earnings, have been negative, you know, on Nvidia. So then I don't know what to tell you how to fix this, Andre. Yeah, 6 of the last 8 earnings calls have been negative. I'm looking for Nvidia to come back down into the 217 to 216 area as a dip buy. I'm gonna have to throw it back to the desk because my screen is not coming out right now. I have to try to fix that. So let's go back over and we'll see if we can get that going.
Let's take a look here at CRM, because this is a pretty standout report. And we already talked about some of the comments made by CEO Mark Benioff in the early half of the show. You can check that out, I think, around 8:20 a.m. But what I want to talk about here are the numbers. Now, other than some kind of inline revenue guidance going forward for next quarter, the actual report itself for this quarter was quite solid with a double beat.
You're right, Adara. Again, earnings per share for CRM have come in at $5.90 adjusted versus the expected number of $3.27. That is definitely quite a beat here. Revenue at $11.35 billion versus $11.32 billion expected. Net income at $3.53 billion or $4.29 a share. That has jumped 87% from $1.89 billion a year ago. And the company has pointed to a $2.6 billion gain on strategic investments from a stake in AI startup Anthropic. As of yesterday, we also saw the announcement between CRM and Anthropic launching something called CloudForce, which will give Claude direct access to customer data and other information that is stored in Salesforce. Now, let's just look at guidance really quick. CRM is seeing $3.42, my apologies, to $3.44 in adjusted earnings per share. And it said revenue should come somewhere between $11.42 billion to $11.50 billion. Analysts had anticipated $3.38 in adjusted earnings per share and $11.41 billion in revenue. Like you said, Mark Benioff, the CEO of CRM, also making comments and saying that this is not the SaaS apocalypse. We've been hearing about this for the last 2 quarters. These dire predictions about the end of software and how the models eat everything, but none of them have come true for us.
Neil, are you feeling the force of CloudForce in Salesforce today?
You're going to talk me into trade? Well, Salesforce wasn't on my radar for the trade necessarily, but I don't know. If you say it that way, you want to use the force. For right now, the force is gravitating toward $225. Now, oftentimes, you'll see this a lot in the pre-market. Maybe not in some of the names that where I was looking at, like the Nvidias and the SpaceXs and the super high volume names. But if you get like a lower volume name in play, you might just see an obvious level start to form, which is, I think, exactly what's happening at that 225, where there's probably just a small buyer out in front that's holding it up. So if you're trading this, you really need to make sure that holds right at the open, because it's the kind of thing where if it's just one floor on a gap up like this, it breaks down. You can't, with Salesforce, you don't know what that slippage is going to be at that open. It could be a little bit nasty. But you look at it from the higher time frame. I think when you get the 3-day cooling off period here, it's very likely, and it's a very high probability, you are closing this 3 days above, it's going to be 210 to 212. The 200 period reclaim, awesome. This prior high we dumped is about 212. We just put that in. Like that's your doom and gloom gap fill zone today, where if buyers aren't there, I don't know where they're going to be after the quarter by then. So it was a big look, it was a big beat. Benioff said the right things. That was a huge beat on EPS. I mean, the revenue was a slight beat there, but at the end of the day, it just comes down to strong guidance, and the trend break is obvious. I'm seriously doubting we get down to a 212. If we're trading at 220 or so right now, I would actually have put it on the note. Hey, let me look some dip by 210 to 212, but it's too far away to consider those levels. So I'll probably be sitting this one out unless something extreme happens in Salesforce. But I do like, coming back and probably Monday or Tuesday, like early next week, looking for a continuation play here on Salesforce, because this move has a lot of room. It's too far away from a breakout and too far away from the dip buy to be of too much interest.
Yeah, I'll bring this up here too. I just quickly whipped this up. It'll be posted on XOTV Research later. This is how CRM's revenue broke down for the first half of fiscal 2027. As you guys can see, this has been kind of a trend with CRM. Professional services / other revenue declining a little bit, but overall, not a bad look here for Salesforce for H1 2027. Now let's pivot to talk about another company who reported last night, whose CEO has tried to assuage fears that AI is going to overpower them, and that is CrowdStrike. Now, CrowdStrike striking, I would say, a little bit of an inline tone for Q3 guidance for fiscal 2027, but again, much like what we saw with CRM, solid report for this quarter, Sia.
Inline tone is exactly what I was going to go for Adara as well. Earnings per share for CrowdStrike have come in at 31 cents adjusted versus the expected number of 29 cents. Revenue at $1.47 billion versus $1.44 billion expected, and revenue has jumped 26% in this quarter from $1.17 billion a year ago. CEO of the company, George Kurtz, has called it, quote unquote, the best quarter in CrowdStrike's history in the earnings release as well. Net income has totaled to $5.3 million or 1 cent per share compared to a net loss of $70.2 million a year ago. According to Kurtz, the Mythos moment has translated into mass market acceptance that AI adoption needs security, and that's CrowdStrike. This is a statement coming according to him. CrowdStrike has also said that its Falcon Flex offering, which allows customers to deploy and swap out different security tools, has now doubled more than a year ago. Not a bad look for this segment over here. Now let's just look at the guidance. So for the third quarter, the company has forecasted between $1.52 billion and $1.53 billion in revenue and adjusted EPS of 31 cents per share, which is roughly in line with estimates.
Yeah, and I mean, there's another cybersecurity company that reported earnings volume, and this is a bit lighter, but OKTA, Okta, with a double beat and kind of tepid guidance going forward for Q3, specifically for their Q3 adjusted EPS. But Neil, right now, you are getting an apple fritter because CrowdStrike is currently above the expected move, but it's kind of only above it by a hair, right? Are you looking to trade this today?
Oh, so why did you have to go and jinx it? Because we actually, Adara, specifically, it was at 9:30, it had to beat the expected move. And it's hanging on by a thread, like somebody's buying it up, and it's just sitting on the bid that's holding this thing above the 205, and right now it looks like the 206 for CrowdStrike. But look, it's similar to Salesforce in some ways, like the move, like you've gapped it, but you pull back, and now you're barcoding. But I don't know, I used to play Joe Montana sports talk football. And I remember one of the things was, so it's an old school game for the Sega Genesis.
Super Bowl.
It's after Tecmo Bowl, but it's still pretty old. But like when you had like a breakaway, you do a go route, whatever, you catch it, you're behind the defense, you could hit a button, the guy would drop a pose, and then he'd be like, I'm gone, and that's when you're running touchdown.
Yeah.
That's what Okta is doing that the CrowdStrike is not right now. Like it went far outpacing the expected move. Broke out the high, double top in the highs, so it can withstand a pullback into 156 and still be good on the daily chart, 55, 56. On top of that, it bounced in front of that in the pre-market and is already taking it out, taking out the highs going into the open. We still have 17 minutes to the open, and Okta's saying, forget about CrowdStrike for a second. Look at me. Everyone look at me. Identity is what it's all about. These agents, man, you can't just let them run rampant. They need to have secure identities, control what they use. VWAP's going to be a play here. It's about 160 to come in. I don't know if you want to necessarily chase this move, and it's relatively light volume. That's the other thing about Okta. I haven't looked at this sucker in the first 5 or 10 minutes before, so you don't really know what liquidity is going to be like. I would like to see it open up, hold that volume weighted average price, but it does look better than CrowdStrike. I'm not taking anything away from CrowdStrike's core. Love CrowdStrike. I mean, like I own CrowdStrike and Palo Alto and cybersecurity, and I probably forever will. But today, obviously, Okta is the one that probably gets more attention from a trading aspect, at least.
Yeah, I was just getting the computer all fixed up over here, and so thanks, Rob, for helping. I think we're back to normal now, and we can continue to look. But yeah, OKTA. I mean,
Hey, look at that.
I saw it for a second, and then it switched away. But it did look like a. Okay,
Oh,
he
I've never
didn't
seen
mean
that.
to do it, but I thought it was pretty
I've
cool.
never seen that look.
At the end of the day there. But yeah, I mean, I'm just going to reiterate what Neil said. I mean, it's off to the races. We've seen moves like this. We saw DKS, Dick's Sporting Goods, the other day go the other way and kept on going. Why can't Okta just keep on doing that exact same thing? I mean, now you're broken through here. There's no real stopping this. As Neil said, it is time to hit that pose if you're an Okta shareholder. Just a monster quarter for them. Huge bounce back in the stock. I mean, this stock has gotten hit for a while, and, you know, nice to see it bouncing. I mean, $60 is unbelievable. That was just there in April. Now you're at 160, so you almost got a triple, you know, in 4 months. Like, what an amazing move higher for OKTA. I think it continues to go higher there too. So I just put the same play that we did on Dick's Sporting Goods onto Okta, but the other way around. Like, if you get any dip buys into VWAP or anything like that, I think this is a buy. The market's shown that it wants to take this name higher. It's only 400,000 shares. So as we said, I'm not sure if that's, I could actually look it up. I don't know what generally this does. In the pre-market, obviously it's way higher, but 428 seems a little light to me. So the pullback could happen on light volume. But when it does, I think the buyers come for this name. So 160 long on OKTA.
The only non-earnings story that we have on watch today, Moderna, MRNA. This one's in focus here with a convertible senior note offering. Now, I know last week when this whole Merck announcement was made, I was seeing a lot of people speculate online. It's only a matter of time until Moderna announces an offering. Just over a week later, Sia, here it is.
This is it's a private offering that is only going to be reasonably believed to be for qualified institutional buyers. There are a lot of clauses in this. So the notes will be general senior unsecured obligations of Moderna. They will not bear any regular interest, and the principal amount of the notes will not accrete. Also, the usage here. So Moderna is expecting to use these net proceeds for 2 reasons, which are as follows: and to pay the cost for the privately negotiated capped call transactions that are very in-depth mentioned in the press release that Moderna released as of today. And for secondly, any corporate general purposes, which may include the flexibility to invest in growth of Moderna's oncology business and repayment of any kind of debt. But they've also mentioned in detail that the offer and sale of these notes and any share of Moderna's common stock that is issuable upon the conversion of the notes will not and is not registered under the Securities Act.
I also want to mention here, keep an eye potentially here on SpaceX. Apparently, SpaceX CEO Elon Musk, David Sachs, who is formerly the AI and crypto czar of the White House, are going to be at the G20 event alongside Sam Altman of OpenAI and Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang. Not much of a move here, a little bit of an uptick on SpaceX, but either way, I'm going to look more into this event and expect an infographic coming on this soon because this is a pretty interesting look. Do you guys think Moderna is tradable today? Because I know this is one that still has been on watch on and off since that massive, more than 100% rally last Wednesday.
Well, I mean, it's tradable every day. Unfortunately, it was already a short. You saw what happened yesterday at the open. Like, it absolutely plunged. Like, unless you were sitting in the short right away in the pre-market, like, that plunge was pretty crazy. The first bounce failed the 152 level. Effectively, it was a VWAP 150 short for the rest of the day. And then I look at the prior high, the prior support, which now sits right about 145, 146. After the story, this went right to that level and did a U-turn. So that gives us a nice over-under. I was going to say 45, and I'd probably put that in the note, but let's call it 46 because that's where it went to. That's even more brilliant. If it doesn't break 146, then I think despite the fact it's above VWAP, it can be a fade. But remember that at Moderna, when it wants to, I prefer the breakouts because I think the 2 days before we were only trading breakout trades. Like when it finds a level, makes a level, be willing to take that breakout. If it finds a level, makes a level early, take the breakout trade when it adjusts that. So for now, 146 is setting up for that potential break. You're underneath it by $4. So the first look will be if we drop look for a fade back into 146 and play that first to the downside. And the other thing to keep in mind here is, regardless of whatever, yesterday it happened to be a short, today it's looking weak again. The overall structure of this move for Moderna still has not breached that 130 support level. Like any selling that goes in here, if it doesn't breach this and we don't close underneath that price, it's still holding that same higher low. You start thinking about this move as more settling down inside of a range and drifting toward it than anything else. But yeah, for today, I am looking short on Moderna. If you get to 130, that's a bounce spot.
Yeah, I want to buy Moderna. Like I feel like raising capital is fine. I mean, this is the right way to do it. Drop an offering. I think that's fine. It's, if this is, like Neil the 130 is what it is. It's just a great level. I feel like some consolidation there. If we don't break it today, what great news is that? I mean, I feel like on a $2 billion raise, what is even the market cap of MRNA here right now? Of course, I'm looking up Marvell. All right, Moderna, just a quick look on this, just to see what, oopsies, I got to go into overview. All right, market cap, there it is. So it's 60 billion. So, raising another 2 billion on top of that, actually adds a little bit of a, trying to raise 3 to 4% of their market cap. Yeah, that actually is a lot. And I'm surprised it's not down more than that after I just read that. So yeah, I would think this 130 is a great level. I love the story there. Watch the XBI. I think if the whole sector does fall down, which is not going to, this is my third ETF that I own, like the third highest as far as money allocation for XBI. But Moderna has really helped this move to the high side, as is J&J, as is Eli Lilly. We just got good news yesterday from ABT as well, a couple days ago from Abbott Labs as well, about, I think it was their glucose monitor. But yeah, I like the space. I think it continues to work. Any weakness, I'd go for the XBI. But at the end of the day, Moderna, I think this is it's not like a wonder drug, like as far as I know anyways, like Eli Lilly was sort of able to create with these GLP-1s, and we've seen what that's accrued to their bottom line. I just, this could be something huge. It's such an early phase study right now for this Moderna Keytruda with Merck, and I like Moderna up here. Maybe the rug is getting pulled over our eyes, but that's a huge move up, and it's really withstanding any pullbacks right now. So yeah, dips into 130 for me as a buy on Moderna. If it happens today, I'm going to be sitting there buying it as well. But this is not one where you want to just put bids out. Like, I'm not going to say, let's bid 138 or let's take a 140 bid. This name could absolutely crush on this raise. I don't like the fact that it's $2 billion. Would rather it be a little less now that I saw their market cap. But at the end of the day, Moderna down 5% today. I like the story. I like the stock. Go Science.
Let's talk here about maybe not go HPQ. So, HP, I mentioned this a couple times yesterday because I do think it's important. They still have an interim CEO because their former CEO, Enrique Lores, jumped ship to go to PayPal as of March of 2026. So HPQ with that interim CEO, this is a solid report, I would say pretty much across the board, but the market not reacting positively. They are gapped down pretty sharply.
Across the board, a good report, yes, but there is that bit of a drop that we saw 16% year over year in PC unit shipments. So that's a bit of a lag down over here. Personal systems segment for HPQ, which covers PCs, revenue has climbed to 18% to $11.8 billion, despite the 16% drop, like I just mentioned, in total unit shipments. Consumer units are also off 19%, and commercial units are off 14%. So this segment's operating margin has contracted 4.6% compared with 5.2% in the earlier quarter. Printing revenue has fallen 2% year over year to $3.9 billion. Now, CFO of the company, Karen Parkhill, has also said that the volume decline was expected, that the company prioritized higher value unit placements and raised prices to offset commodity cost inflation. Let's look at the forward numbers. So for the fiscal fourth quarter, HPQ has projected adjusted EPS of 69 cents to 79 cents per share, including an estimated 0.08 per share tariff refund benefit. So for the full fiscal year as well, HP has raised its adjusted EPS outlook to a range of $3.19 to $3.29, that up from a prior range of $2.19 to $3.10, and lifted its free cash flow forecast to the range of $3 billion to $3.2 billion.
How do you guys feel about HPQ? Is this something you'd be watching here as a trade? Because this is currently SSR.
It is, and maybe unfortunately for anyone that was looking to dip buy it, look at the daily chart. Look what it was holding on this last move into the highs, which was this little 50 period here on SMA. It basically bounced right off that in the pre-market already. It's a $27 stock, and it's already bounced $1.25 off that level. Like this, like look at the reversal. That's pretty epic. So I don't know, maybe the move is already in. Possible that you could get a retest at that 50 SMA on the daily, which would require this stock to dump $1.20, $1.30 at the open. It's not really feeling incredibly likely with HPQ. It doesn't mean that you can't be ready for it. It might not even open up SSR. I mean, if it opens right now, it's kind of teetering on that. So this might not even have the uptick rule in effect on HPQ. Now, if it gets back into the 26 level, for sure it will. And then standard, look for the SSR bounce into the 50 period moving average. At this point, I just feel like that trade happened while we were turned around at like 8:15, and this one caught a pretty good bid. So the dip buyers came in, they did their job on relatively decent volume. It's done over 1 million shares here in the pre-market, so it's not like it's on nothing. So the opportunity kind of gone. I don't want to say gone, because you could always retest those levels on HPQ. We've got plenty of Nvidia to look at, and Moderna out there. We didn't really even react to the SpaceX news, which I know we will once we're done talking about HPQ. And thank you for the gift here. Oh my, Nvidia will rip that 226.50 level today. And then you have, oh, I like the emojis. A few rocket ships, we're keeping cool. Little fire emoji.
Yeah, you gotta get that fire emoji. I mean, you might be right. I mean, you're trying to take out the pre-market high right now on Nvidia. So 224.03 coming into play right now. It looks like we are starting to get going. And the reason why that is, guys, is because we do have our friendly neighborhood imbalances that were just released right now. IBIT, it doesn't matter. Nvidia's a sell, actually. I was expecting that when we saw that recent move that was not going to be a sell, but Nvidia does come there as a sell. Snapchat sell. CRM with a buy. We've been going over that today a little bit there, as they should be near morning highs as well. There goes Salesforce to the upside. Obviously, you know, that high at 430. All right, Amazon not on there. MSTR on there. All right, so that's what we're looking at. Oh, there's Oracle with a little bit of a buy side action to it as well. And again, Oracle, I think, is a good story today. One that's a little undercover, up 2%. You know, data story, boom. Data center, good little name there. As we continue to go, SMR yesterday, I thought was going to break through $10, but wound up actually going to the downside there yesterday. Nice move upside for SMR right now, up 2.5%. All right, was that it? I thought we had one more thing to go over, but we do not have to, as we may be done.
We should be going over SpaceX, that story.
MRK, okay, we can go over SpaceX. Merck downside a little bit right now. Adair, did you want us to throw back to you for SPCX or anything? Or?
So yeah, the SpaceX story that I believe is what Neil was referring to and that I mentioned here. So SpaceX, Elon Musk, that's CEO of SpaceX, of course, David Sachs, former crypto and AI czar for the White House, are reportedly going to be joining OpenAI CEO Sam Altman and NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang at G20. I just have no details. So all I can really tell you as of right now is the headline. I'm going to dive more into this, and I would say expect a visual kind of outlining all of this as I get more information later. But that is 4 AI heavyweights that are going to be at G20.
Has some faith, Adara, because we got a super chat from Faith. Shout out to the lovely ladies of Trader TV Live. They're beautiful. Keep us in the know all day long. They are truly appreciated. Keep up the good work. Y'all rock. You, the viewers, also rock. Another one, Arthur. Arthur, thoughts on MU? You sold at 982. You're looking for re-entry. Well, you know what?
I sold at 902.
982.
982.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, if you sold at 902, I don't think you'd be happy.
Then you'd be like me.
That's a fantastic sell, because it's right at those highs. We have 2 minutes to go. I don't have to rush this. When you look at the gap, and I'm looking at DRAM specifically, there's 2 places to look. I think for MU, you got about 960, and then the 945 drop. Everything is all about Nvidia for me. But on DRAM, I can only tell you what I'm looking for, which is 56.7 and then 57.4 about. But we are selling, and we're expecting some profit taking here at the open going into this open. This is what happens when a big name like this gaps up. There's lots of profits to be had. Ooh, another one. Mike Peter Ryder, Trader TV #1. Let's do this. Y'all know how we do. Mike, appreciate you, man. Michael, sorry. Mike's one of your alter egos. Michael Peter Ryder, I should say. I have to get the 4 of them right. That one.
Shout out to the Commonwealth over there. Shout out to Mike Peter Ryder. Yeah, so look, I'm just looking. Now my charts don't go out. I don't have my charts going out the full way here. That Nvidia high right there at 5 p.m. Was 227. So I mean, that would really be the true breakout. The breakout of the pre-market high is 224. I actually think there's a chance for 224 to hit right off the open and bust through that, and then we go. So looking at 224 breakout of Nvidia, as well as the sticky note is now out 216 to 217 buy zone for NVDA. What's up, Adair, with 30 seconds?
I actually have more details. I just got more details here on that story with SpaceX. I'll mention this TE in a bit because people in the chat were asking about it. But SpaceX, we know Musk, Sachs, Altman, Huang, all attending this G20 tech meeting from September 1st to 2nd in North Carolina. Meta President Dina Powell-McCormick, also a former member of the Trump admin, she's going to be at this event as well. So some tech leaders at that G20 event. We also had TE to the upside receiving rezoning approval for a potential 50 megawatt data center at their Giga Arctic campus in Norway. Happy Bell, everybody.
Giga Arctic, whatever campus over there.
Giga.
Yeah, shout out to everybody. Welcome to NVIDIA Day. I have the bid right now to punch through 224. If we go long through 224, I'm going to get long there. Give it about $1. So we're waiting to see if that winds up hitting right now for NVIDIA. I wrote down a dip buy opportunity. Was trying to look at the 5-minute. It's all the way. Well, now it's right down here, the 50-period moving average. So watch out for that one. Here it comes, 224 coming for NVIDIA. I'm going to punch that long if it does go through it. And only give it $1. So back and forth $1 there on NVIDIA. Here it comes.
Yeah, blast off to the upside for NVIDIA, but you got a bit of a pullback there. SpaceX looks like it just dipped pretty precipitously, and all the way to 139. And right back in through the highs. This one could be a nice little VWAP retrace. And there goes Moderna as well. Moderna pops right through 46. They're climbing. They're going higher. 150, another big level there for MRNAs. The bulls are coming out to play, at least early on, as the NASDAQ goes flying. Give me that DRAM.
Yeah, we got long there. It did go in the money about 40 cents for us. We didn't take it. We're now sitting at 224.50. It looks like, oh.
My quote is broken.
This is just, yeah, the quotes seem to be a little broken here for me as well because we're just bouncing around here on, on NVIDIA. So a very violent move. This may go to the downside. We just did not take out that, well, here it is right here again. This is pretty confusing to me what's happening right now on NVIDIA, but back and forth, multiple 50-cent moves here. We're just hoping the next move is higher, and there it is downside. So we did get stopped out there. I'm actually fine with that. I wanted to take a move over 224. I think we'll take it again if it does pop one more time. But yeah, there it goes. Just a little violent right there off the open on NVIDIA. We could have had 50 cents or so on it, but it does break down one more time. I'm gonna try it a little bit more up there at this level, see if we can average it just a little bit better. That little drop zone there, 225.50, 222.50, I think is a spot that we need to look at there for NVDA. But here we go. Let's see if we can finally break that pre-market high. It is having a little bit of a problem. We did, mark down last time that there has been moves in NVIDIA. The last 6 to the last 8 days has been red. So, I do like the long here. I don't want to die on this hill though. So we'll average it just a little bit in here and then watch out for 222.50 to break. That would be sort of our out down there on the downside of this trade. So getting ready to maybe get stopped out, it looks like here, of NVIDIA for a second time. We tried the long twice. Maybe the dip buy is right, but we're stuck here at 223.50.
And wow, I was saying my quote, the tape is fit.
It's
fine,
nuts, eh?
But the quote is mind-boggling because you get lost in the sauce if you stare at the quote of NVIDIA right now because it's basically just $1 back and forth, like it's nothing. The stock doing exactly the same thing as Moderna. I just watched it reject and fall $3.
What the?
Like it went to 48, then it was at 44. If I wanted to be short this name, I'm not gonna be a fool. That's crazy. It's way too early. Let this stock settle down. DRAM just got destroyed and heading down to 57.4, which was close to our gap fill. We haven't filled the entire gap. That's at 56.4, but that's right into prior support levels. So DRAM is falling like a rock here. IBIT like 44.5. It's going to get there. And I had a break of, I don't know if I want to break out at 225.
Oh, no.
But yeah, I wrote down 225 in the note, and it's about to break now. So
yeah, we're long. We're now in multiple dollars now. But I mean, the thing is that we did take that hit early. It's a good thing it wasn't on a huge amount of shares or anything like that. It did come right back in. Look, right where we got stopped out is right where we bought it again. So Oh, wow, lots of
Look at the
yes.
size.
Go, my guy. Let's get going one more time right there. Nice little out there at 25s for us on NVDA. How high did we just blast there? We got, yeah, you hit that, Joe. You keep on hitting it, my guy, because there it goes. A nice upside play there on NVDA, man. We're long at 223.09 right now.
Yeah, I took the break, but I'm not going to give it past this 223.72.
Oops.
No, I'm getting out of this
Yeah,
stuff.
wow, that
Forget
just faded off of that.
I don't like that reversal at all on Nvidia. And then the opportunity cost of that was just missing $3 on Moderna. Moderna is now at 143. We should have had that one to the short side. But you know what? That was the stop we put in there, and we always give a stop the exact same. I'm going breakout here, and then the prior support or resistance is always going to be the out. So I hopped out at 224, and now I got to go over and stare at what just happened in MRNA. There was the fail. Moderna goes back through the 46, but the spreads were insane on Moderna. Like it was $2 back and forth on MRNA. This was a wilder open in terms of volatility, so we'll try to pick this short up if we can. The reversal is still on for sure here. Let it calm down. There's an offering here. There's actual story on MRNA. Even Nvidia's back at like 222.
Yeah, I know. I just took some out, but you know, we're long. I don't want to get completely out. We do know that there is some downward pressure here on. I mean, thankfully we sat there at 225. We actually got 225.50s. 225.31, sorry, as was one of our fills. But look at this dropping now in nicely here for NVDA as it's going lower right now. I'm only holding half a unit waiting to see where this thing settles. 220 is your 200 period moving average. So, you know, you're now coming into that one. Let's see if that wants to hold right now on NVIDIA. But the downside pressure is hitting the market. And, you know, they're selling the news on this name, right? I mean, we know the quarter was great, so there's nothing really to worry about on that front. But at the end of the day, man, it does continue to move around right now. I do see that there is apparently a super chat for me. Okta is where you want it. Yeah, I think you're right about that one, man. We're probably looking at the wrong space right now. We can look over at OKTA.
No, but it just gave up the top two.
Did it? Okay, it just gave up.
Same thing.
I have to apologize, man. It's NVIDIA. Like, I'm trading this thing like a madman. So we are long right now at 221.80. I will have a chance to look at some more stocks in a bit. But right now, we're just trying to hold out for a 220 bid and see if we can just capture some of this profit, because we did give some back. We didn't get out at everything at that very top. So let's see what NVIDIA wants to do here. Looks like it wants to go lower, actually, if anything. Watch out for that 220 break, big psychological level.
Yeah, big level. No, we can look at Okta. There's no question about it. But like everything else, it gave up the top pretty big. Nice breakout. It got to $170. So if you rang the register there, it was fine. It was 160 in the pre-market for most of the morning. But it needs to hold these pre-market lows. I did like them better than CrowdStrike, but that's not a hill to die on. Nvidia needs to hold this low. So breakout doesn't go. Now it's can it wick the pre-market low and get you back into the volume weighted average price? I got to look up. Well, I can cancel that order on Moderna. That's like $3 away. I was just canceling my offer on Moderna. If it pops $3 in one shot, there's no need to try and step in front of that moving freight train. It's really just the Nvidia story. Yeah. I did have IBIT written down at 44.5. Bitcoin's pretty quiet. The market's heading down pretty heavily, but we're still 0.5% up on the NASDAQ. But IBIT's nowhere near that 44.5, and if it regains VWAP, that would be a play for me. I'm kind of bullish on IBIT today. There we go. Now buyers are starting to step in. Yeah, we held that higher low at least.
I only have a few. Ideas today. It was long IBIT, it was long the NASDAQ, and it was long NVIDIA. So here goes NVIDIA right now. Now we're back into it in the dollar club again, as we were buying off that 220. So it's okay. I mean, I would rather have this name move just a little bit more. Now up to 223. So here we go. Nice little, just did not break that 223 level. Trying to hold out to see if we can get a little bit more upside now on NVDA, as there it is, just bought, sat there at 221. It's kind of lucky that we wound up holding it out, but right there into the 50 period, we took some more outs there. We still have half left of our rebuy. So hoping that we can get back up into this 224, I'm sitting at 223.70 right now. 223.30, my bad, right where VWAP is. And it looks like we just got a clean VWAP rejection there on NVDA, okay? Yep. So be careful with that move. The other move, of course, was IBIT that I wrote down. Neil just sort of briefly mentioned it right there. 44.75 long. So we're actually touched out at that already there today. We didn't take it. So we should be looking over at IBIT, 44.75. Let's just put a bid down there. If it does come in, we'll take some IBIT. Maybe we can even take a little bit now. There it is at 88, just because, you know, it's at the 200. We'll see if it can break out. But realistically, a downside pressure move there. I'm going to bid 44.77s. Maybe I need to change that. Let's go to 44.80s on this name, and then just see what winds up happening if IBIT does eventually come through. So that's what we're going to be waiting for there. Stop out for me on IBIT like a 44.60. Let's just put that in right now in case it does break down through that level, 44.60 for IBIT. And there's the level here. This is that support zone that we're talking about. So if we break below, let's get out and then, you know, maybe regroup that at 50s if it does come back in to those levels. It shouldn't be too huge of a hit if that is what winds up happening. All right, I'm going to take a piece out right now at 223. The last time we got up here, we didn't take it because it bounced off VWAP. So let's take, there it is right there again, like VWAP trading.
2 in a row VWAP projects on Nvidia now.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. That's why I got to get out. I'm going to get another piece out right now again on that move to the upside. And yeah, there we go, man. This is how you trade. You got to sort of get in and out when you see things happening. And although I do believe Nvidia can get going, that's back-to-back rejections at the 50, at the 200, at everything right here on the charts. So, you know, let's go.
It's breaking VWAP.
Yeah, hopefully. We'll hold that out right now and we'll get going higher. You know, good trade. We still have a good amount of shares on right here for NVDA. Let's see if we can get back up to the high side.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to, but it just broke the volume weighted average price. But as always, you want to scalp out in front of VWAP. 225. If it was a fail breakout at 225 before, I'm looking for that for the exit. Oh, whoops, that's not 2,000. If it goes to 2,000, I'd be very, very happy. But it's not going to reject that price. Come on, get up to at least a $0.50 on that move. And
let's go.
Like to be able to get back in the pocket on that one. You know, the breakout. Look, I love the breakout play. And it was a wider stop than normal because it was about $1.25. I like 60, 70 cents if you can, but get into that 225. There it goes. It just tagged it about the 80s. I just put it at 77 to get the out. So the dip buy worked, but it already failed this breakout once. I'm not taking the breakout of the high a second time. I'm going to wait for a potential dip buy again because my anticipation was we do a bit of an inside range if it can't make that initial breakout. So it didn't make the breakout hold. Let's go for the dip buy if we can get it one more time. And then again, late to the party on Moderna is going to suck because we had it through VWAP, give it to the open range high here at 45. That was our level. If it's above the prior close and we're staying away from it, still a couple of lower highs. I'm still going to be relatively bearish on this unless we're in the 30s. I think 30s are a fantastic place to try to pick up the buy zone on this bad boy. But yeah, Nvidia, that's the thing. What I like about it is basically we'll be close to flat on this. Probably too aggressive getting out under VWAP, but that's what it's about. You take it, get out, wait for it to get to the low, and make a secondary trade. So that's what it's all about for NVDA. And the other thing that we didn't get to, and I know we're missing a bunch of names in here just talking about NVIDIA, the memories almost filled in the entirety of the gap. So the prior day high on DRAM was 56.8. It's still falling and heading to that price. I still like it down here, but we're being very, very patient trying to pick up this dip buy.
All right. Just ring the register, man. There's NVIDIA now up 7%. We're still in this one as we continue to go higher. So we just have a couple outs there above 225. And yeah, like we did well to hold this one. So we're really, really happy with the performance there today on NVD to the A. IBIT's not moving the way I'd hoped it would. You know, today we just get another fill there. Well, we talked about sitting there at 80. We grabbed that fill. We're now long at 82s. Let's put an offer like 86s to get out of a little bit if it does pop through right now. Okay, there it goes, 85. Okay, well, here we go, man. We could put offer. There it is. Yes, sir. Let's go, man. Fire off that hot dog gun. Watch out for those glizzies firing everywhere. But there it is now. Nice upside move for IBIT as we buy that one. We're $4. And what's up to Mike P. D. Ryder right there, as he said, when are we going to have those Dollar Club winners? How about 5 of them right now? There goes NVIDIA. Let's go. We just got a new high there up to 226 right now for NVIDIA. We've got IBIT rocking and rolling over here as well. So we're going to have these 2 winners on, and they're both pretty good. We just got a 90 fill there on IBIT. So let it go, let it go. Someone in the chat saying wants me to start seeing some Frozen there. We love that movie, of course. Okay, so I just saw Oracle coming through on the stop. Oh, sorry, that's Blue Ocean. We want Oracle real time. All right, 150. Yeah, okay, downside there for Oracle. Trying to push a little bit lower into 150 and change there. Is that. Okay, so we're still 10 cents in the money there. There is a little bit of a pullback happening on Nvidia. I only have a quarter left. Let me take out another piece here at 70s. Only a quarter left of this reload long down there. But yeah, it did save our day because like Neil mentioned there, taking that long there, getting stopped out at the back, but able to find a bottom there and pick it. We actually had a bottom right there too at 221 and change. So dumped out at the pre-market right there when we dumped out through the low at the 50 period, at VWAP, averaged in, got out, bought, boom, to the upside. So a little bit of a sloppy morning there for my good friend now. And the largest holding in the portfolio is Nvidia.
Have you seen Palantir?
We talked about that yesterday. Palantir, probably my third largest holding, and I have not seen it. Tell me it's good news.
Well, it's good news. I can't tell you. Well, it's not news. It's just that it broke out above 180.
Did it break? Oh, yeah.
There's no news.
No news.
Yeah, there's no news.
Oh, well, there's Alex Karp last night. We had that live last night. Yeah, I never saw anything on that either.
It was in the afternoon. It made
wow,
it's breaking out on the daily chart for sure. So shout out to everyone that just pumped this bad boy
Red Lobster
through that
tonight.
180. This is absolutely flying. But you know what else is looking pretty solid?
Red Lobster.
Apple fritters.
Ooh. Iceman turned say what?
Apple fritters look pretty solid. CrowdStrike is up 17%.
Let's go, CrowdStrike. This is one of the best days of my life.
Palantir and how Alex Karp bought stock, he actually sold stock. So that
haha, Alex Karp, you idiot.
What? Hold on a second.
He sold 86 million worth of stock as of last night. And
yeah, good. Take some pressure off.
Oh.
Take some pressure off, Alex
So
Karp.
it's not even a positive story for it. Well, it doesn't matter. The stock's up anyway, so it's like who cares?
Yeah,
I thought it was that we were talking about how he was buying. We're mocking what's his face? It's like Lip Boo because he didn't buy as much.
Yeah, Lip Boo ain't Alex Karp, my guy. But yeah, Alex Karp, they're selling 86 million. I mean, these guys got to make a lot of cash on that, realizing some profits there. And I'm just absolutely loving Palantir today. Like I said, this is just when we talk about all those positions, CrowdStrike. And we've been talking about how much we like the cybersecurity space. So it's going to be hard to get the smile off my face today. Nvidia up what it's doing right now. CrowdStrike up 15%, man. Palo Alto making moves also there. Palantir, my baby, from a hell of a long time ago, man. We're long this name still sub $20, man. I mean, this has been such a huge run for Palantir. But we did buy in this move down right here. I remember I wasn't here that day and I was screaming on the chat. We actually bought some more Palantir on one of the days. I can't remember exactly where it was. It was on a day where there was a huge imbalance, and I was just like, no, you got to buy this name. And then the very next morning, it was up like 6 or 7% and really never looked back. So we do have some. I shouldn't say my average price is not going to be 20. It's going to be higher than that right now. But we did average into some more Palantir. And look, that was scary, right? Shout out to Nelson and everybody there in the chat that had asked me about, when's time to buy. We were talking about 130 there on Palantir. Oh, the reason why I brought that down was not for Palantir, it was for CrowdStrike, because our chart does not show the split adjusted profits, split adjusted price. So there it is right now. So yeah, sure. Look, we're celebrating CrowdStrike because of the day it's having, but it's just right to where it was 3 weeks ago. 226 is really the high that you're looking to break through there, right? 226.50 is what we're looking at there. So it's good. It's not breaking out from highs, but obviously we're going to be really happy with that move because it's better that than down here. So right now, it did have an opportunity to get down into 160 if it wound up missing, but CrowdStrike right now holding fort on the day now, up 16% and 15%.
Smoking memory right now.
Yeah, I can see that. Nvidia just fell down.
Smoking the memory names right now.
Okay, I got to get into DRAM.
I can't tell you how close I was to it was the inflection point. It looked like it was about to break the trend. I was very close to punching in, and then the rest of the gap just filled. On volume, Micron, SanDisk, all of them. I just said that. Oh, see, the patois comes out. Look at Micron. They're bleeding. Sharif would say they're bleeding their own blood, but you're now really filling this gap in. Oh my goodness. What's holding up?
I don't know, why is this happening?
Nvidia is holding up. That's the thing.
Nvidia
is holding up, so it pulls back off that VWAP, but maybe we just wait for the low test again. How's Intel doing? I'm looking for something relatively strong here. That's not above the volume weighted average price. Really, Nvidia seems like it's the thing holding up the best for a potential VWAP reentry. But I do have DRAM on the side burner because that's way too big of a drop not to look for the reversion that you filled in the gap. So it's still very much downward trending here on DRAM. There's no question about it. You got to be pretty patient with it, but that's parabolic, and we're now 15 minutes, more than 15 minutes into the open. So we're getting closer to that 10 o'clock point where it starts looking reasonable to try to play a reversion on something that's incredibly weak. Because for us to go back to flats, that's another litmus test here. Micron's probably taking it. Micron's taking it the worst from what I could tell.
Do we have news about why this is happening sort of right now, Adara? Like, I mean, there's a pretty big sell-off happening everywhere. Even my guy IBIT, although we're now long at 74. Just went to Adara.
All I'm seeing is just people post about, oh, Salesforce is up by so much. There's a private European jet company considering a European IPO. Like, guys, it is bone dry when it comes to any news. It's just rehashes of old things and that one European IPO maybe for next year.
Okay. Well, if that's all it is,
right, so
this market is really starting to
not
flush
much
in.
going on then. In
Nasdaq's still
that
green
spot over there. No, I think everything's fine. It's just like it is a nice move there in the Nasdaq, and I did take an opportunity to buy some more Nvidia. Now, whether or not that's going to be right or not, I mean, the dropout zone now, maybe the 200 period on your 1 minute chart is down here at 220, basically flat. I don't think we want to hold it that far and give back some of the money that we've made here, obviously on Nvidia. But let's take some pieces out here as we're now long in the money 50 cents again, as we're just long now 222.55 on the bid right now. So trying to take some out. We just got some out there. There it is. We just got some more out at 80s there as we continue to run a little bit higher and hotter now, 223. Let's get some more out here on this. All we're doing now is just massaging our positions. We've already have quite a nice run happening on Nvidia for us. So get going. Oh, we accidentally bought more there, did we? No. Nice move higher. I thought my price was different than what it is now, but okay. There goes Nvidia. Just bounced again off 223. Well, I must have bought some by accident there instead of selling. So, all right, let's go, because my average price averaged up there. We didn't mean that to happen. All right, that's good. Now here goes IBIT. Let's go, man. This is the king of the castle. The rest are dirty rascals. I don't know. But there goes IBIT. Nice move down in. What did we write down on the sticky note today? 44.75 there. So not a bad little level there to hit. That's where we're long right now. 44.70s. We actually got that good dip buy opportunity in there for IBIT. So let's see if that can now retrace itself back up. I'm glad we asked about, is there any news? Because, Neil, when there's no news, man, we go right back into the king. And guess what? We got... And there it is right now. We just talked about this. Now it's $1.50 in the money. There goes Nvidia again, man. Man, are we having a good time today. I hope you guys are too. Hit your like and your subscribe right now. Make sure you join us every single day as this fun. Don't stop today, man. It stops every day. We're out here kicking it with you and hopefully putting on some good winners for you. That's Nvidia there, and it's IBIT, man. IBIT is really... been a good stock there. We wrote down 44.75, like I said. Go over at Trader TV, Sean. You can grab it. It was late going out today, so I do apologize with this new format. I just got to figure out things a little bit better, but still 3,000 of you liking it right there. This is what it's about. It's the sticky note, and we have IBIT there on those levels, and it came right into it. So really happy with the performance there. $1 in the money, Nvidia, 20 cents in IBIT. And what's up, Rob? Hope you're doing well. And thank you. I have to publicly thank Rob for his help this morning and for the cup of Java, because I was in a little bit of a panic mode when I got here early. And Rob has many hats here. So he came running once he was able to and saved the day for me there. So thanks, Rob, for that one. And, thank you, Market, and my parents for giving me the opportunity to be here every single day. There it goes, Nvidia, man, upside, IBIT, upside. You're rocking with the best now. Thank you for watching Trader TV Live.
Exactly, and look, DRAM finally caught that bid. We waited for it to close pretty much the entirety of the gap to the prior day close. Now we got the bottom tail candle, but you've got to try to massage it out every single resistance zone on this, because it's easily the weakest thing out there is going to be, I think it's memory, at least right now. The record, Moderna's back underneath VWAP, so I will take a round 2 on it. And Adaman, you're right. Broadcom reports after, I think it's Thursday of next week. I want to say it's Thursday.
It's usually Thursday. I believe it's actually Wednesday for next week. I already made the weekly calendar. I'll check. It is Wednesday. Broadcom, Wednesday, usually a Thursday. Plot twist.
The more important thing about Broadcom is the fact that in that bleed, Broadcom is absolutely flying. It never broke VWAP. It just held on, and it's at a huge support level. This looks great for Broadcom. Relative strength today. and it's got a bit of a breakout. You have plenty of time through the earnings to maybe get to that 75. Also, Palantir, I got to slap the fail on not taking the 180 break. You can write it down, but if you don't actually take it doesn't matter. We just tagged 185 on Palantir, and now starting to pull right back in there. Intense move on PLTR. It doesn't want to give a dip into VWAP at all. So I'm going to put a reload on DRAM. So I haven't picked up my Moderna short fill just yet. And for me, Nvidia round 3.
Let's go, Nvidia.
I'm waiting for it. I don't want to get it on the way down. I want it to hold VWAP here and see if we can play it off that level. Because I want to actually have an out if we get back into it.
All right. IBIT right now, man. Yeah, let's just props up, man. Anybody there following the lead on crypto today? I mean, it's not even like it's moving that much, but IBIT, thankfully we get that bid there and we take some out at VWAP. I'm willing to hold this now. If the NASDAQ does have one of its days, then, you know, I feel like IBIT, we're selling it a little bit too early. But now we're $2 in the money now on Nvidia. And, you know, it's just about being confident sort of in the style and in, you know, dip buying strong names. It does hurt when you're wrong, because then you wind up having way too many shares when the dip buy doesn't work. But on Nvidia today, and I always caution, and it's not like me to do this, but, you know, money is money, and to take it when it comes. But it's like it gave some levels there on the pre-market, and I liked that 224 break. That was actually turned out to be probably, you know, the best opportunity there. We did get some out at 225.30. Like that was almost boom to the upside, but you did have to get stopped out at VWAP there. So this is part of trading the open of a earnings name, right? I'm gonna get a little piece of, by the way, IBIT is rocking right now to the upside there. So shout out to Nimit, who asked me, am I gonna be trading IBIT today? Would it be on the sticky note? You're welcome, it is. Another out right here on, I'm gonna take this out as we're trying to fall back in a little bit. I've just offered some 223.90s there. We should have maybe just punched out of it. Let's see if we get a little bump on Nvidia. But yeah, taking some more out there. And to Neil's point, like you gotta have outs, right? So if this does fade back in, we are pretty light on this. I'm still gonna use the 200 period there, which is 221 and change, which is where we last got long. So maybe we'll buy a little bit down, like buy some 221s, 50s, and then get out if it breaks 221 clean, something. There it is. We just got more out right there on Nvidia. And look what's happening to IBIT. Joseph, look at this IBIT move right there, my guy. 44.70 all the way up to 45. Joseph knows we've got some shares on board right now, so that's going to be a good move there. As I gotta give everything approved through Joe, so all the trades. So we got that one 45 and change right there for IBIT. So we're 30 cents in the money over there, Joe. Our capital is in good hands today, my guy. $2 right now on Nvidia as that continues to climb higher. Like, why was I just worried getting some out there at 224? Like, here we go, 225 now, coming right back in, $2 and change on that. I'm just gonna now hold off. Let's look for some more opportunities. I know you're on DRAM over there and Moderna. I like the Moderna look as well.
Well, we said you have to have an out, so we flat on DRAM because that just broke through the low. I actually that's a pretty favorable fill.
Nice.
This is the idea with the spreads. Like it broke 42 and I got filled at 46, which basically tells you at the moment it's breaking, the spreads are just opening up and you can get filled, but you've got to throw the order to get it. Look at them continue to bleed it. I am back into MRNA though. That held underneath the volume weighted average price. So the first time it broke under VWAP, we took it. It stopped at 145. This time we're a little tighter under VWAP to 44s. We're gonna look for about 140 bucks. I still think there's going to be a bid at some point on this stock. But if you looked at what it did yesterday, it was like a slow bleed that didn't take off until about 10, 15 or so. So scalp inside the range, look for some of those lows. And yes, for those that have mentioned, Neil, you didn't take the SoFi. This is the day that you don't trade SoFi. You're right, but it was Nvidia day. There was a Moderna offering. Obviously, there was a heck of a lot to look at. SoFi breaks a 200 period today, it seems like, and is an absolute terror. I didn't see any story. There's no story here or there for SoFi, but this has been a long time coming. Reminder, 20 bucks. That's the big one for SoFi, 20 bucks. But it's halfway there today. Maybe later on in the day we'll play some pullbacks on SoFi. But yeah, this is like the one day that we didn't try that break. Every other day, for sure. The market, I don't know, man. The market's taking out the lows. Like the NASDAQ is taking out the low of the day right now.
Yeah,
like
buddy.
this is a lot of profit taking. Like outside of Broadcom, what's actually holding things up? My guess is Apple's having, yeah, there you go. Apple's having a good day, because when memory goes down, Apple goes up. That is one thing you can just trust. But if Apple loses the bid, I don't know about this. I really don't know.
All right, I'm trying here. I'm going to try the long. I mean, we wrote down here. I mean, we're just let's go. Like, first of all, IBIT, like, you know, that's working out. We wrote down the TQ 7150, so let's try it. We'll put on half a unit right now, see if the TQs want to give us that little bit of a move higher. I'm just really in love with this IBIT trade. I mean, that was a good one there. We talked about crypto. I got the NASDAQ feels today that this crypto's going higher without the NASDAQ even moving right now. So there it is. How about 16 cents right off the bat, Joe? There again for the TQQs. We just got it on right there, 7150 upside into 7170 right there. As we keep saying, man, we always refer things back to sports, it seems like, but this is what it is. We are reading the board well right now, man. Our rotation is now kicking. This is not a bullpen game. This is an ace. We have our ace on the mound today. We got Tarek Skubal, although I know he's not doing that well, on the mound right now. There goes the TQs, man. Nice move higher there. There goes IBIT, days high right now for IBIT. And we got a cruise happening right now in your boy Nvidia. So today's going to be a really great day, man. We only have 3 trades on. There's the TQQs. And, why would we ever take it long at 7150? There it is again, right? We have 3 trades today: Nvidia, IBIT, and the TQQs. So those are the 3 trades that we have on board right now. And, one is 40 cents actually 2 are 40 cents in the money, and 1 right now, the Nvidia, we've just been going back and forth with, as you guys know. But there goes the NASDAQ. We just basically called that low there. I don't know how we did it, but we did. And there it goes again. And we want to thank our good friend Easy Peasy one more time again for this. I really like this little look there that he did for me, because those are my glasses. I don't even know how you wound up getting those, but shout out to Easy Peasy there in the chat. I hope you guys are all having great days, man. And I know hopefully this futures trade really got it started for some of you there as well. But good, I see you flipped into DRAM there and Moderna. So yeah, a lot of good coverage here today with different stocks.
Not SpaceX, but which we'll get to. I guess that Elon story is not that big of a deal. But every time there's a bottoming tail, this is all I'm going to wait for. Looking for the bottom, I want to see a fat, nasty bottom tail on some decent volume to try to take the shot. And then if it breaks, I'm not even thinking VWAP. I'm thinking 56.8. That's here in the aftermarket. Moderna is right toward that 141. I might have said 42. No, sorry, I might have said 40, but the opening range bottom is 141. So we're looking for a 141 exit. It's a tighter stop than the first time because we're playing it just above VWAP, which is actually not even 44. So we're risking less than $1 on this. That was less than I thought. Let's go to Adair. It's already 10 o'clock, so I'd like to know what's happening now.
What's happening now, Neil, is despite a market that is dropping, SPY's still green on the session compared to where we closed. And again, a lot of that's being aided by that gap up in Nvidia, with the other 2 main earnings names from last night, CRM and CrowdStrike, following suit. We'll get into earnings in just a minute. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ, though, which even again, as these tech names are really leading this drop to the downside, including an unexplained move to the downside in memory, you still have a green NASDAQ. So this is significant, guys. Despite the pullback, it's worth putting things into perspective. Not as bad as it might appear. USO, though, also right now, pretty nicely green, though we're still pretty far removed from yesterday's session high. We got some comments pre-market from outgoing White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt saying to Fox News in an interview that there are currently no new negotiations between the U.S. and Iran that are taking place, and that all options remain on the table, which is what the camp's been saying for a while. We'll take a look here at Nvidia. As Sean says, go Blowout to that trade. They're currently hanging out here near session highs and pre-market highs. This was a double beat. Again, another record quarter for Nvidia, with data center revenue up 117% year over year. Other names that are on watch for earnings day one include some of these retail names like DLTR and Best Buy. You've also got CRM on watch, pushing higher. It's a new high of days. CrowdStrike trying to do the same thing. So lots of strength across the board here in tech on earnings. Moderna in focus after announcing a $2 billion proposed offering here of senior convertible notes. And Wendy's to the downside. This is a pretty big drop post-market yesterday. Reuters reporting that Trian Capital, which is, of course, run by Nelson Peltz, either way, they are taking that take-private deal off the table for Wendy's, according to Reuters. Back to you.
We're doing just taking off the table some right now. I mean, IBIT absolutely screaming to the high side right now, into the pre-market highs. We have the low and the high of the day right there. And as you just mentioned, Nvidia, we say hell yeah to Nvidia. I mean, that buy right there, like, thank you so much for coming through, man. We did a bunch of these today and it's been paying off. Thankfully, guys, we don't got to reload anything right here, as the TQs just gives us that golden opportunity. They're at 71.50 as we had posted up, and there it goes, man. Now 65 cents in the money and going higher right now in the market. And as you can tell, I am loving the market these days, and so are hopefully you. There's an offer from Trade the Pool that you can take advantage of right now. More setups, more momentum. To take advantage of these conditions, you need two things: discipline and, of course, access to capital. I think we have both on this side. That's where Trade the Pool comes in. Instead of being limited by the size of your own account, traders can access firm capital and focus on executing their strategy and, of course, managing risk. No more fear of blowing up your personal account. No more moving your stop loss too early because you're worried about your own savings. This is what we call limited risk trading. Take advantage of the volatility in today's markets without risking your own capital by scanning the QR code right there on your screen now, and find that link in description. Do both and join Trade the Pool today. Thank me later. All right, so that's what we're doing right now. We want to thank Trade the Pool, of course, for that little ad there. But TQ, so just to give you guys an idea, 30% left of this position. I'm going to take another piece right here at 17. Why not? Take another piece right now out on IBIT. And it's only 10:04. So, you know, I mean, the market's moving. We've got these positions on. And it's been a very, very good day for these three names as well. Moderna, DRAM there. I see.
I just added up on
DRAM.
DRAM. I'm going to tighten the stop on DRAM. But they're sustaining the buying here, so we're going to add here, but move the stop from the low of the day into 56. But 145 just went. So 145 just got taken out on MRNA. So as good as it's been the last couple of days, I'd say 3 in a row. This is the one day that we're not going to have it on MRNA, is what it is. So that's the second time through on MRNA, and it just took out that 45. So you're through VWAP. We did get some 42s out there, but it's looking a little bit stronger. I don't think we're going to get one of these all-day bleeds on that sucker. So, you know, given the fact that it looked like we found the bottom here, like I said, we're going to add, still playing to 56.8, but I think there's a better chance at VWAP on DRAM. So we're going to get some out. First resistance will be right here where we stopped out the first time, and then 56, like 75. Then we'll look at the volume-weighted average price for DRAM. You got to think about under the hood, because it's really important. Like when I look at Micron, is that a convincing bottom? Answer is yes. When I look at SNDK, is that a convincing bottom? Answer also yes, right? So under the hood, it also looks pretty good. Just need to get back into that volume-weighted average price. That's the thing. You can want the long, but you can't just have it anywhere. Like try to have an entry plan of action. And this is a little bit different, like adding higher. I don't usually do that. I try to get it in like one time, but averaging up is a little bit better than averaging down in my opinion. So don't usually add anywhere from our original entry prices. But this case, I thought it was worth it.
Okay, yeah, just reading some emails there, but we just got out of Nvidia literally at the high of the day, so let's just continue to ride that bull. I mean, maybe it's pulling back a little bit. We've been exiting out of these trades, as you guys saw there. We got out of some IBIT there on the high end. Looks like anyways, 45.20, okay. But, you know, market can pull back, so we'll take some out at 8 if we can there, and we just do that right now. And here's the pullback a little bit in the TQs as well. So let's take out a little bit more there as well. Hearing that Meta is taking aim at Anthropic. I don't know, but they're also all teamed up together anyways, right? So Meta, Anthropic, everybody's in bed together right now. And you saw that a perfect example of being in bed with each other is CRM today. And, you know, what a huge move. Look at this, up 20%. Hell yeah, man. Another name that your boys got in the portfolio, I'm sure a lot of you do, as there goes CRM, up 21%. This day has just been something else, man. I think that's true of a lot of people's probably portfolios there today. But yeah, the move just keeps on happening. CrowdStrike, CRM, Nvidia. These names just keep on popping, and you know we really like that you guys are here with us today. That is for sure. So thank you for enjoying the show.
Well, forget about CrowdStrike for a second.
Yeah.
Like Palo Alto didn't report last night. When was the last time you saw Palo Alto 10% without it even having earnings? It's Sympathy 10%.
Yeah, well, that's...
Jay, we had a super chat about that. I didn't even realize that. Thank you, Jay. Jay's Hill Dave, doesn't matter. Jay's Hill Dave, Palo Alto Networks, absolute ripper. Thoughts? I like the stock. If you like the stock, buy the dips. I like CrowdStrike's dip better than Palo Alto's, just a function of how far it had fallen. I don't think distinction without a difference. These are both great, fantastic companies. You definitely have a reinvigoration of really just cybersecurity, because Okta today was also spectacular, 22% of the upside. Like, these are the biggest names out there are cybersecurity today, and I think they all look great. Okta's breakout's pretty clean. Palo Alto, that 50 period looks really good. What can you say about it? Spending's not going down there. Remember what the IBM CEO said that made the stock drop 25%. We're not getting the money because it's going to cybersecurity and data center. So that still holds true. I believe I heard we're going to the desk. And
I
we got
believe
those super
so.
chats. So let's get up to Adara.
Yeah, we are here. We're talking about META, Meta in focus here at New York Times, as Sean alluded to here, reporting that Meta's projected to be spending up to $10 billion per year on Anthropic's AI. Now, Anthropic also had that CRM partnership, so good looks here for Anthropic. Again, this one with Meta reportedly spending up to $10 billion a year on the company's AI. Back to you.
We have the return of Nimrod. So shout out to Nimrod. Thank you so much for the super chat there.
brother?
Just the letter N on that note, but I don't know if you can show it there, Andre, or not. But thank you to our good friend and a friend
Maybe
of the...
he missed
A family member,
video.
Nimrod, has been here. Yo, what's up? There he is, man. The man, the myth, the legend with the hair himself. It is Fabian. There it is right now. $69. Thank you so much to Fernando. As we are now, Fabian, are you getting ready for an amazing experience? You are going to be about 10 pounds lighter come tomorrow.
Hold on, I have to say something. I dug for that wig to try to find it to wear today. I couldn't find it. I'm going to go on a hunt
Dollar
again.
store. Yeah, we can go to the
I'm
dollar
going to go on a
store.
hunt, or I'm just going to have to pick something up to wear a wig tomorrow. We'll do it.
Yeah.
The wigs are happening, and
I don't see a Rune Warrior in here,
Rune
but
Warrior.
we are going to get $2,000 apparently from a Rune Warrior or a Run Warrior. We're not sure exactly what it is there, but yeah, there it is. It's all coming off. What are we at right now? Go stand by the screen and let's take a picture of this so people can scan that QR code. We are just cruising right now. What does that say? 61.41. We want to say thank you to everybody for those. Yeah, he wants more. Let's get it going there. 7,500.
7,500.
7,500 would be a great goal. That would be those 3 wigs, right, Fabian? So I think we're looking for
Exactly.
at least that number right there. So we want to say shout out to everybody. There's Nimrod again with NV. Oh, I see what you're going to do, Nimrod.
I see what you're doing.
Let's go over to the screen one more time. By Nimrod, we have an N. We have a V. So there's the N. There's the V, Nimrod. I don't know. I'm trying to think about what could possibly be next. Is it going to be something that has created so many chicken dinner winners? And you cannot, as I said, get the smile off this guy's face. We are now $3 in the money on Nvidia. Neil, we are now even a dollar club right now, guys, on the futures. We go back to the futures, and don't at me. I know this is not the futures. This is the TQQs. This is 3 times the futures. This is a levered product over here that we keep on going through with. So there it comes again. And Nimrod, they're getting lesser, but they are still coming through. There's the D right there. NVD. Is it going to be an S? Is it going to be a T? We do not know what that next letter is going to be, Nimrod.
Maybe you're looking at the ETF. And it's an L.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, yeah, it could be a complete.
Possible.
Is it Navitas?
I don't think it's
I'm
going
not
to
sure
be.
what this guy's talking about
I
right
don't think
now.
it's going to
We
be.
need one more super chat to find out exactly what it is. And there it is, man. All coming through with the A. So it's NVDA from our good friend Nimrod. And I'm assuming that you made some money on that one, Nimrod. Let us know what your trading's been like. And if you want to come on, man, maybe we could do a quick little spot with you if you have Zoom or something. We could come on and see how your trading's been. We loved when you visited us. That is for sure. 72.50 right there. Monster plays today for me, man. The TQs, huge trade. We have the low of the day on the futures. Like, that was monstrous. We have the low of the day on IBIT. You know, it's coming back in, so we're getting out of some of that one. And then Nvidia, man, as I said, couldn't be happier with NVDA. But yeah, 10-12, that was a lot of excitement there today. Thank you, Nimrod, and everything that you've done. I hope you're well, you and your family, and great to have you back here. And looking forward to if you visit one more time around here.
Yeah, it was a pleasure hosting you, Nimrod, and for the entirety of the community. But I will say, hey, Nimrod, our good friend, there is a charity that we're doing. And we appreciate the super chats. We'll always pass it forward. But links in the description, my brother. And it's not to do it, but hey, we're trying to get to 7,500. Why? Because as you can see, it's a fantastic cause. But I'm going to repeat it. That gets a third wig. The goal ultimately is for some child somewhere who's going through chemotherapy to get the wig, and we want to make sure we get that third. We're going to level it up, and of course, Friday, tomorrow, we'll figure it out in terms of how exactly when we're going to hack off the locks, and we'll try to pick a good spot for it. Everyone has some fun. I think we should do it when the viewership's the highest, but it might end up happening in the afternoon. Just one note, we're going to go up to Adara. My first thought is with the Qs, and I see Sean probably looking at this too, because the high right here at 29.6, as you get to this, yeah, DRAM has bounced from here, but this is still like the epicenter of where the weakness is in the market. And that last heavy candle was at the aftermarket and resistance highs of yesterday. So this would be that spot instead of VWAP, where we'll try to take it out if we reverse on the future and we have any kind of a lockstep, and then we look for the next trade. But for now, I believe we need to go back to the desk, Adara.
Keep an eye on Google, because we're hearing right now from Rob Bonta, that is the Attorney General for the state of California. We know yesterday, of course, we had Meta with its settlement with that 29-state coalition, of course, including California. He's saying now in a CNBC interview, this is Rob Bonta, saying that, quote, we're suing TikTok now. We're very interested in Snap and YouTube as well. So Google on watch, SNAP on watch. Not much of a move here, but basically Rob Bonta, California AG, saying to other companies in the social media space, hey, we got Meta, we'll get you as well. What's also interesting, and I'm still going through this full document so I can do an infographic that'll come out over the weekend, but Meta, you can get the sense as part of the settlement, half of their statement is trying to coerce TikTok and YouTube to settle as well, which is really interesting, and I think probably part of what the state's asked Meta for. In fact, some of the payments are specifically tied up in whether or not TikTok and YouTube also settle. So that is interesting. Back to you.
Well, I think that is interesting, because when you're the biggest, you want to pay your fine, but you want to make sure that your competitors are under the same conditions, because you can handle them probably more than you're better than competitors if you're confident. But see that topping tail? We tell you that was a reason we would get out. We jump out of it, but I don't think we're necessarily done with DRAM. There's always the chance we could pull, this turns into support, or we get something along the volume weighted average price. But as much as that was good, you have to look at Moderna, it's right back underneath. So each time, it's right back at the lows. That's probably just it's a timing issue. Like it's going to 146 each time, and I'm looking at the 45 zone because it's a round number and it's a prior low. But that is still looking weak. So I should have a third attempt at this underneath the volume weighted average price. And then just to one name that we haven't really talked too much about, but is absolutely flying earlier, that's going to be SoFi. Well, we didn't get SoFi on the breakout, and it's the first time we didn't trade on that break, but it's pulled back into VWAP. So you know the drill. We're looking for that VWAP bounce and trend break on SoFi. Didn't get to 20 bucks yet, so we're still very much valid for another run back into that bad boy. So SoFi, it's still in the pullback mode. I'd like it to tag the volume weighted average price first and then get going. But you're 2 points up. You're upward trending on the daily. Like you're upward trending on the 15. Right? Like I want to see it. Just hold this resistance and support, and then this one can get going too. Someone's fintech reporting tonight. I think it's a firm.
It is.
That shouldn't matter. Yeah, that shouldn't matter for anything. Yeah, it's not going to make a difference. But, SoFi we do love. We love some SoFi.
Yeah, we love SoFi. I actually just realized I have more SoFi than I do now JP Morgan. That's a dangerous thing, to have more SoFi than JP Morgan. But the one thing we do have...
I do, but I don't own any JPs.
Okay, yeah. I think it might be the largest bank holding that I have is SoFi. So we're hoping that it goes higher. That is for sure. But we're now $350 in the money on Nvidia as it's just at the day's high, watching out for some of those plays. Let's go over to SpaceX. I almost shorted SPCX there today. You know, once it it was basically just a short at that 140 level. The thing is, there's a little bit too many wicks to the upside. So I do kind of want to wait for SpaceX to come back in. I'm feeling really, I mean, everything we wrote down on here today, and I only have 3 trades, IBIT, NVIDIA, and the TQs. We just followed our rules, and there it is, right? I mean, there it is. Thank you so much, Rachel Ashby, for your donation again. I mean, this is meaning a lot to all of us here, that is for sure. And we really appreciate all the love and the support again back in. And I hope that it's such a great day to donate. I mean, it's such a great day to be all over the market again here. And you know, most of your portfolios hopefully are kicking it to the north side there. So give a little bit back. We are building out wigs for kids. You know, that's what it is, the Angel Hair Foundation. If you're interested in it, at least have a look at it, scan the QR code, go give it a thought. And if it is something that you're interested in, we really would appreciate all of the support back over there. I'm gonna support it right here, you know, the P&L right now by getting some more out of IBIT. It dropped down. I didn't do anything about it. We could have reloaded some more there at VWAP, maybe should have, but there it is. Nice little move to the high side there. For those of you that are maybe trading halting names, Worksport, WKSP, was a name that we used to be with here. Well, it was a sponsor for a minute. Worksport now up 55%, 83 million shares, starting to go higher now, WKSP in Cincinnati, as that name keeps on going higher right now. You mentioned a firm reporting later tonight, so we can have a quick look over there. Although yesterday, NVIDIA gave us the whoopsie-doo because it was down 1.5% yesterday, and then it absolutely ripped. Obviously, we see the results there now. NVIDIA actually looking at all-time highs, which are 236. So we still have about $12 to go before we get to that. Or sorry, $11. We're at 225 right now. But a firm kind of doing nothing. This name is not, for me, not set up, right? NVIDIA had 7 of 8 days. Like NVIDIA was doing this coming into earnings and then based out one day, and then the earnings gave it some juice, right? That's what I was trying to tell you guys about NVIDIA before, is like we're just, and the same thing as CrowdStrike, it's just back to where we were a week and a half ago. So although it's great, it's given some great opportunities to make some money on the dip. If you've been holding through all of this, which many of us were, all you're doing is getting back to flat, but it gave options traders, it gave dip buyers an opportunity to get in. Anybody that's holding, you're still not really happy with NVIDIA, I don't think, over the year. It's up about from 185 to 225. It's actually pretty good now.
I mean, it's not.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world that bad this year. Obviously, it's not like the, you know, like some of the other names out there. The Mag 7 is only up like 4% or something this year. So NVIDIA besting that, but there it goes, 225 and change, NVDA. Maybe the move is starting to slow down. I'm gonna get out some more of IBIT right now because that's right back at the highs. We might as well do that. Traders gonna trade. So let's get out some more there. And let's just rethink about this NVIDIA take now, because it is bouncing off 226 NVDA. Again, what a great day. You're not gonna, change the way I'm feeling today. Let's just put our sort of feather in the cap, chalk it up to another good earnings report day. I mean, most names, unless you're an HPQ fan, has HPQ actually, before we go over to Adara?
I'd be surprised if that didn't bounce.
That's what I was going to say. What is it doing today?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so bouncing a little bit there. Opens up 97.40. It's at 98.30, so nice move there.
Hit 26 in the pre-market.
Yeah, that was low, man. So yeah, HPQ today still down 7%. If you like the stock, buy the stock. HPQ. We like the reports. So when we like something, we're going to go back over to the desk right now and find out what Miss Adara's up to.
Here is the small cap recap. We'll start here with MIMI. This is Mint Incorporation. This news reports or news stories from yesterday morning. This is day 2 catalyst. They accelerated their robotics expansion with Yunji technology for strategic development of a next-gen commercial-grade service robot. So robotics catalyst here from yesterday for MIMI. $20.23 million market cap, 5.83 million share float. WNW, Meiwu Technology. This is a repeat offender. This has rallied in the past. As of yesterday, via an SEC filing, the company said that one of their wholly owned subsidiaries, Jimin Shengshang Health Technology, has entered into an equity transfer agreement last week. So interesting look there for WNW with an $88.7 million market cap, 26.2 million share float. Last but not least, TE. This guy has a whopper of a short float. We'll get to that in a second. T1 Energy announcing that officials in Mo i Rana, Norway, have rezoned part of their Giga Arctic campus for data center development. So data center catalyst here for TE with a $1.44 billion market cap. This one is on the Russell 2000, and they have a 27% short float. Back to you.
Thanks, Adara. And speaking of short floats, there's lots of people betting against SpaceX. I don't know what the short float is off the top of my head, but based on market cap, it's probably relatively big. It's not going to be gigantic relative to those small ones, but it did break the trend here. We threw it in the chat at the time, and so it's a trend break plus the VWAP hold on SpaceX. The confirmation candle would be this current 3-minute one. This top here at 140.5 is pretty distinct, but just so you know, the 141, we talked about this yesterday, 141 is a big breakout on SpaceX. So to me, it's a long to that level, then it's a breakout at 141 on its own. Because you saw this in the afternoon. I think you were staring that one in the face. Oh, it was 140, not 41, where it turned around. So I actually like the fact. I think we can go here, get to that 41, and then make the next move. The other name that we were talking about was SoFi. It still hasn't gotten to VWAP yet, nor broken the trend. So patience, still pulling back on SoFi. I want to be long, but I'm not going to get in until we actually have a test of the volume-weighted average price or a break of the trend, similar to what we're seeing on SpaceX. Like, that's a pretty distinct trend break there for SPCX. And Bart, yeah, Palantir. He just said, and I'm glad you didn't put the actual word in there so you didn't get the comment blocked. But yes, Palantir, 185 again.
Yeah.
There's a seller up there though. It broke 180. This time it broke 185. I was fighting that scenes the whole way. Sorry, couldn't get to the mute. Broke 185 and has pulled back, but it hasn't really failed that breakout. Above VWAP, this last time held 84s. It's on an absolute charge. It's hard to put a finger on this one, except for the fact that CRM was good. So you had AI good, and then you have software good, and that's all good for Palantir.
It's all good, baby. Yeah, man. We, we've been loving that
Thanks,
stock
Gio.
obviously for a very, very long time. And
Just saw it.
there it is. Thank you, Gio. We're getting up there very soon. I like your name. You're just missing an A at the end, Gia. But thank you, Gio, right there for that. What's up, Fabian? Hope you're doing well over there, my guy. Still got to find me that data port connector there. But okay, so as we continue to go 224.25, we're getting out more of this. I mean, we got out once it broke 225. We're starting to empty out the clip here a little bit on NVDA. I'm actually thinking about a short, to be honest with you, not to throw cold water on anything now, but we are underneath and we're starting to go a little lower. I'm just going to start to empty out the clip because if I'm thinking short, then we shouldn't be holding longs anymore. What we did was, wow, this is a face slapper there. IBIT upside, just emptied out the clip over there as well. Okay, thanks, Nvidia. Just came back up, gave me some fills there in the 60s. I'm still waiting for 76. There it is. We get 76s now as well. Hey, I'm fine being wrong. We can let the rest of this kind of ride just a little bit higher right now, but so far so good there. 225, an interesting spot. Maybe we break below VWAP and we take the short. Let's put our stop right now at 224. That's a break of 223.90. Actually, I don't even have a stop out right now for Nvidia. 223.89. And the reason why is it just ripped up again. Like, this fill never went against us. So if it did, it went against us. And again, like, I'm not stopping out 30 cents on Nvidia. That would be ridiculous. But right there, 222.50. It only went against us 222.30, so 20 cents. The stop order was always going to be wherever the 200 period moving average is. Oh, wow. Thank you, Nvidia. Thank you. Come again. We'll see if we can take that bid and make that take us out now. So we'll wait for 225.40s we just offered out. So that was a good little run up there on NVDA. It's 10:30 already. When you're having fun, boy, does time fly right there. Thank you so much to everybody for all your support today. Thank you to Nimrod for dropping all those super chats in. Thank you so much to everybody that's contributed over there, to Fabian and to the Wigs. We really appreciate all of that. And we do appreciate Dara back there with another update.
Keep an eye on the market, guys. Getting some comment from Fed's Hammock. She was supposed to start talking at 10 a.m. I'm only seeing comments come through here now. No, again, guys, Fed's Hammock, who I believe is the Cleveland Fed Reserve Bank president, she's coming out here and being hawkish. She was one of the hawkish voters in July. She's saying that above target has been persistent amid questions of how shocks will play out. She does not think the current Fed policy is providing adequate restriction for the economy. And quote, now is the time to act, given the persistence of inflation, that it's actually appropriate for the Fed to act to lower inflation. So she's arguing for a rate hike here. Back to you.
Okay, I don't mind a rate hike, eh?
Well, everyone thinks there's going to be rate hike.
Yeah, I think that's no
That's the
doubt.
reality.
No doubter right there. Yeah, so hammock now speaking right now. So Fed's hammock there, inflation number was as expected. Now time to act, giving what the inflation current situation is. Okay, man, we got to slap a fail on my damn self right now. Can't believe we're failing myself for having a long in Nvidia when it's at the day's high right now and kicking out. But there it goes, man, 226. I don't know why we panicked so much down there at the 50-period moving average. I really thought the move was potentially over there. And oh my God, Joe and Neil and everybody, as Nvidia just keeps on climbing, now $4 over there. And we are just absolutely monstrous now on the TQQs. Cannot believe that on these futures, man, we go back to the future right now. And that was just the low 71.50. As we mark that one down, you guys, we all share our notes. You can go over, find Neil's, find mine. There it is right there. TQQs, 71 to 71.50. Same as above, playing longs today. IBIT, 44.75. Are you kidding me? The low of the day, 44.70. That's what's in the account right now. And then Nvidia never got there. So, all right. We did take that long early where we both got squashed a little bit on the pressure of the pipes bursting there at 224 into 225. We early got 225.30, but then about 3 minutes later, we also got 221. So this move was very, very aggressive there off the open for sure on NVDA. But, we didn't cry over spilled milk. We just found our very next trade, which happened to be this. So we got the TQQs down there at 7. There's our 71.50 marker that we had marked down again. Glad we put that on. We only put on half a unit. So that kind of sucks. Wish we would have put on 100 units. And then down into there, of course, we would never do that. The most we put on in this trade would maybe be 3 or 4 units down there. Wasn't that confident at the time to do that. And then IBIT, we definitely put on some units on there, right? We had about 3 units in total when this was going on. So this is going to be P&L number 1 for me today is IBIT. Well cruising now on IBIT. It was really Palantir. Sort of forgot about there. But,
yeah, that's the thing I'll be mad about is Palantir, because Palantir was on the note for the 180. It just didn't feel like it was close enough. So at the open, I wasn't really watching it. SoFi is bouncing off VWAP. There's the actual test of VWAP, and then the trend breaks were in. We hopped out. Obviously, you saw SpaceX go to the upside, so we hopped out of that one for profit. But let's go to the desk for Adara, and it's 10:30. So which one are we talking about today? Because nat gas is what I'm looking at usually on Thursdays.
Yeah, I can look at this nat gas number for you guys. I just want to mention Fed's hammock kind of coming at Fed Chair Warsh a little bit here. She just said, and I quote, accountability means talking about the economy and providing information to the public. 2 things that Fed Chair Kevin Warsh is kind of reticent to do. Now, it's worth noting these comments from Hammock coming just under 24 hours before Fed Chair Kevin Warsh will take the podium at 10 a.m. tomorrow at Jackson Hole. So again, coming a little bit after here, Fed Chair Warsh's tight-lipped policy on economic policy. Now, it's also worth noting we had some other comments coming from Fed Schmidt this morning, and he actually has voted against the Fed. He's been one of the dissenting voters in the past. He said that he kind of sees the argument for having less Fed meetings. So Fed Chair, or not Fed Chair, but Fed President Hammock apparently just concluded her interview in CNBC. She clearly has her own ideas here in terms of how many meetings the Fed should be having. I'll take a look here at this nat gas number, see if this came in here, because that was supposed to come in at 10:30 a.m. Not seeing it, but I'm sure that was just released.
Yeah, I mean, it moved a bit. It definitely broke the trend there on nat gas, but it didn't go past VWAP. So that's kind of I'll call it a nothing burger there. Usually you'll move a little bit more, and I didn't hear the number in my ear either, Adara, so curious.
So 15 bill here, positive versus 15 bill expected. So exactly in line. The prior was 16 bill. It's kind of a nothing burger.
That's exactly why you didn't see it move. When nat gas moves, usually the last few weeks is moving a ton on those builds on Thursdays, but today's kind of nothing burger, so I'm not going to stick with that trade. I like the breakout in one way or another, typically the reversion. Something interesting with SMCI that it just makes some sense to me with the market at the highs. This is really running into some sellers at the volume weighted average price. It's just strong as anything else from bottom to top, but then it made the recent high when the futures did and then pull back and is not making another one when the futures are. So if this loses, and I'll draw this for you because do this. So I'm kind of connecting this as the trend line. I'm just going to pop short. It's a risk to reward trade. If you can get it here under 40s, closing underneath, and only be giving it to VWAP, then this one makes some sense to me on SMCI. And it doesn't matter why it's weak. It just is weak, in my opinion. And then you look at this as also a false breakout over this level at 38.75. Yeah, SMCI is going to be a fade for me for sure. I haven't looked at Intel, Sunny, but you're saying it's absolutely running. And Pascal, another donation. Just keep them coming.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, we're crossing the 6,600 mark, so we're probably just less than 1,000 away from that new goal. Forget about I don't want to say forget about the 10K goal, but it's every 2,500 that matters, because that gets the fresh wig.
Yeah, we're excited about all of that. I actually have a short idea coming through Oracle. I'm going to short Oracle breaking through 150 right here. If the market does give it up, I think Oracle gives it up as well. So shorting through 150, you're going to have your first short of the day for me coming out right now on.
I was going to say, at the risk of being told yet again that I only talk about negative stories for Oracle, which I don't. I did just see apparently their credit risk default, or their risk of default rather, for their credit has reached its highest level since 2008. So think about that in terms of what year that was for the market, and that was reported by Bloomberg.
What happened in 2008?
Yeah, I don't know. I never heard of that year. But right into there, 150 break, looking at that as a possible trade. Obviously understanding the spread is about 20 cents. So, we're going to cross down. I'm only crossing down 10 cents on Oracle. So hopefully we get a 149.90 fill if it breaks, or something in between. And what I mean when I'm saying crossing down is like I have a marketable order, but only for 10 cents. So it's not going to be a market order in case this thing flashes, and we don't want to get short at 149.50, right? We want to get short at 90s. So if we miss it, we miss it, but that's the risk you take when you put a marketable limit order. So we got to be careful with that. Yeah, bouncing to the upside now, that's fine. I mean, I'm not going short until we break that shelf. Obviously, our longs continue to kick, man. We're now $5 in the money on these 3 positions, and it's the only 3 that we wanted today. But I do think Oracle underneath VWAP here, seeing some pressure. We saw sort of the data center names and DRAM, at least DRAM, getting hit to the downside, which started this market sort of turbulence early, which just looks like a great roller coaster here on the NASDAQ. Up, down, whoa. So I think the next move is whoa, maybe to the downside. So we do want to short some Oracle if that is indeed the case. And if I think that's going to happen, let's get out one more piece here on the TQs. We told you where our stops are going to be for everything. We're just going to stop out at VWAP right now on everything, because we have very light, man. I'm under 5% of everything we have right now. So that's why we're just kind of enjoying life right now. It's been obviously a banger morning. Actually, that's too high. Let's go here. Let's go 72.25. I mean, I don't want to give everything. It's not, we would give nothing back essentially, but we do want to make sure that we do, properly trade these. IBIT, I don't even know what to say about this one. We're just going to let this keep on going higher now. I think IBIT's going to take out, we wrote down 44.75. That's the low of the day. So we have that in. And plus, Bitcoin's about to break 80,000 down here. So we really, really like what's going on there with IBIT. Hopefully that can continue to climb higher, but nothing else. Oh, what I wanted to show you guys too is, because we were talking about crypto, I used to do this all the time, and then I sort of closed it. And like I was saying before, I haven't been in my crypto account in ages, but this is what's nice to see over the last 24 hours. Check out my guy Solana down here, 9%. I've not been buying any dips. I haven't done anything at all in Solana, but XRP now down up to $1.46. That's a great rebound there. Look what they're up in the last 7 days, man. Oh, just 38% on Zcash, 21% on Solana, 21% on Ripple or XRP, 10% on Binance Coin, 10 on Ethereum. But you know what, man? That's sort of what we talked about, was Ethereum was outpacing Bitcoin. It's not. Bitcoin right now up 11% over the last 7 days. Ethereum just up 9%. So Bitcoin, the king of the castle, all the rest are simply those rascals. It's raining rain coin, by the way, right now as well. That's up 25%. I got to talk to Michael Noss about this one. I don't know about that. But there's my Cardano right there, 21 cents. Man, that one's gotten hit for sure. That used to be a top 10. I remember when that was announced by Trump as being one of the, and I was like, Cardano, what the hell? I'm in that as a shot play. That should not be part of the treasury. But anyways, Cardano, nice, and we like that. But look what's happening to Bitcoin right now, guys. You got to stay with me on these plays. These are not scalps or anything like that. These are bigger plays to the upside right there. And we did scalp it out, and we almost are out of it. But if you are a positioning guy, we have the low there. It's just absolutely ripping to the high side. Good day there. IBIT, my number one stock, despite getting out of it about 1 million times. So there goes IBIT to the high side. There goes the futures, and there goes Nvidia back down. Remember where our stop is on Nvidia, man. Breaking through VWAP, and we gone on NVDA. But a couple good outs there on the high side again. 225.50, 226 might be the high end of that one. But wait for Obi. He may be looking to short some of these names. But you can actually ask Obi. He'll be very honest with you about the success of
I feel like
trading.
the reversion was would probably have been the best one was HPQ, and your only shot at that was, I think, at like 8 o'clock or 8:15 in the pre-market. It made that low, and it was a confusing one because it was a reversion aftermarket too. Like it went to the upside, and then just for some reason they just started trashing it. That said, this is not a reversion play. This is a VWAP play. So I'm long SoFi off of the volume weighted average price, and then we're short SMCI under the volume weighted average price. So pretty simple. We break the top. It's not the top. If you break this resistance at VWAP just above 60s, we'll be out of SMCI, and then they're both starting with an S, and I'm not going to try to mix them up. But SoFi did a false bottom. But you know what? If I misplace the stop, you can very clearly see when I punched out, it didn't break VWAP. I'll blame my black chart for guiding me incorrectly. I just punched right back in because it never actually took out underneath the volume weighted average price. SoFi is still very much on trend. So whatever the reason SMCI is weaker than the market, it doesn't really matter to me. It's just that it is. And at this time of day, I always like relative strength and relative weakness as a bit of a play. And we'll get some bids out in front of these consolidative zones in here, which one of them's at 10, the other one's out in front of 20, and then look for the gap fill. If the market continues to break out, I have a defined stop, but if the market turns here, then I think we play back into the prior day highs for SMCI. And this 185 is pretty crazy on Palantir. It's still doing, 15, 20 minutes ago, I was telling you it just keeps breaking and failing 185. It's still doing it. Every single candle since the last time we looked at Palantir has broken 185 and closed under 185. Like if that's not showing you signs of a top, I don't know what is. And Benjamin Brandt, thank you for the donation. Another 34. They just keep coming in there fast and furious. It's so much, there's so much giving and so much, I don't know, it's just so much kindness in our community. We can't thank you enough. We're looking forward to tomorrow, and we appreciate you helping us get to those goals today.
We are literally the best community around. Okay, guys, I'd hate to say it, but yo, shout out to my girl Britney Spears, but we did it again right now. As we are short right now on Oracle, and there it goes right there, man. We gave this one to you a minute ago, and I don't know if you guys were questioning it in the chat or what. We had a Derek come through again. There it is right now, Neil. It's another 50-cent winner right there on board for Oracle as we short that 150. Let's effing go right now to the downside for Oracle. Here we go. We're getting hyped up now. Adara getting hyped up as we short on Oracle. Now making that move back in. There it goes. Bang. We took a 1-unit trade right there. So now Oracle all of a sudden moving up, man. We're not just that one-trick pony going long. We go short right there as well. There's the 150 break. So there's the breakout to the short side there on Oracle. And there it goes one more time, man. Wow. Like I said, this has just been a absolutely crazy run of a day right now. We're actually already out of 35% of this Oracle trade for 50 cents. Let's see if it gets a little lower. I'm sure Adara wants me to hold on to this one. So let's wait to see what happens here with Oracle. I did flip up over into the short of Nvidia. This could be completely wrong. Right now, 225, 224.50. Looks like we'll throw some back if this does not work out. But right now we're short right there. We actually got out of our TQs trade as that broke lower. Wow. And Oracle right now, man, is nicely printing to the downside. 149.32 right now on Oracle. We just put this trade on for you. So far, so good there. We'll punch a little bit more out. And I think we're getting ready to go back over to the desk and see what's up with our girl Adara. So if we are ready, we could do that. How about now?
Here's the sector board, guys. Let's talk about it. If you are not tech, and even if you are tech, certain tech names are probably having a pretty rough morning. We'll start with what's strong, though, because it's pretty much just tech. So 2 of the 3 technology services Mag 7s are admittedly red, Google and Meta. But you have Microsoft up 1.5%, Palantir up 4%, despite some insider selling, including from CEO Alex Karp. I was seeing some people in the chat say it was just insiders. I did double check this. It was Alex Karp with that $86 million worth of sales. I think this all started on August 20th is what I was seeing. You've got a strength here in Palo Alto Networks, of course, in sympathy with CrowdStrike, which reported earnings after the bell yesterday, up 17%. CRM, which also reported earnings last night, up 21%. This is its best day in years, so good look there. We also have other SaaS plays like Adobe, Accenture, to the upside. Datadog up 6.5%. Synopsys, another earnings day one play, up 8%. Electronic technology, you've got Nvidia to the upside on earnings day one, Broadcom following suit. Same with Intel, both of these names up 3%, despite reports of widespread semiconductor tariffs potentially being considered by the Trump admin. That being said, though, other names in electronic tech looking pretty weak, including these memory plays like Micron and Western Digital. Finance weak, retail trade weak, health tech weak, producer manufacturing weak, energy minerals weak, utilities weak, consumer non-durables, consumer services, process industries, health services, communications, utilities all red. The one potential saving grace outside of big tech, and it's still a big tech name, is Tesla here trying to bring consumer durables to the upside and mostly failing. Tesla's up, the rest of the sector isn't. Back to you.
Oh man, what did I do? I shorted.
I don't want to be a Debbie Downer,
Too late.
but I have to be real. I'm not happy with Caterpillar today. I'm displeased with Caterpillar. We said the all systems go for AI, and I mean, this is a big data center play. Well, it's now a data center play.
Adara's mic is still on. Not that it's a problem, but
Okay,
I hear her humming.
Yeah, you can't be down 1 point today, Caterpillar. It's not good. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. And I'm really.
Neil, can you tell me your opinion on Caterpillar, please, immediately?
No, I don't love it.
Okay,
It's one of
got
my
it.
favorite stocks ever. And I'm considering maybe I need to be trimming more of Caterpillar and putting money somewhere else. Anyways, now let's get back to brass tacks. The futures might lose VWAP. We got 2 first support here on SMCI. Now we're looking for lower today, but I think this is one we can be reloading on. SoFi, the good news is SoFi bounced. The bad news is when the market went down to VWAP, I took a couple of outs that I'm really not liking as much anymore. Because the market was looking weak, I'm like, okay, let's just scalp this a little bit thinner, and we'll start thinking about the lower high as a target. That was a mistake. I'll pop one here at 29 because that's an obvious level, and then try to hold to the high of the day for SoFi, because clearly, it belongs, I guess, in the stack of crypto and fintech can maybe move a little bit better because it's chips and AI that are going to move together. So, yeah, probably a little too aggressive getting this one out early. I think that was a bit of a mistake. That's the only mistake there. And then one more, just going back over to SpaceX. SpaceX is back at VWAP, but I don't love it as much. It was a trend break and a breakout through the volume weighted average price. It went right to the top and couldn't continue. Let's wait for the lows on this thing. Another one, Ubong, another gift. Just keep them rolling in here. And Wrinkled Hippie, thank you for your donation as well. 95 bones.
Hopefully that'll be me one day.
And then Eric Vargas, another one, 81. Just keep them coming in. The generosity is absolutely amazing. Ralph Woodward, again, the best community out there. We really, truly appreciate you. And thank you to Fabian for doing this. All going to a fantastic cause. Just got to get that wig on tomorrow. Because that's what we plan on doing. We're going to wear wigs for the show tomorrow. Because a run warrior, as someone was telling us in the afternoon, doesn't really matter which, said that if Sean and I wear wigs for the broadcast, they donate $2,000. As far as I'm concerned, that's easy. It's easy. That's light work.
We're ready for that.
For us. We're ready for that for sure, and we appreciate everybody. But that would be amazing, absolutely amazing, because that's almost a wig by itself.
Yeah, we like that one. I don't know where he is though, so we'll have to hopefully.
A run warrior? It's a rune warrior. It's not a run.
I would think so.
It's a rune.
There as well. Okay, man. Again, trade. I mean, we just posted it up there on our Twitter feed there. Trade number 4. I mean, I'm posting up here. Trade number 2 was the TQQ. We're just talking about all the trades that we've got on there today. So we just posted up Oracle right there. I'm going to wait for 149 now. I do only have a third left. Actually, less than a third left, about 20% left right now of this trade. So, no, what am I doing? The other way around. No, third, yeah, just about 20. Yeah, the math is different because I took out some there at 50s. But we're going to wait for regardless of how much we have left, doesn't matter. You guys, hopefully, you heard the trade idea. Hopefully, you heard me shout it out. It was 150, right? We even had Adara chime in on this trade. They're not on the trade, but gave some news about Oracle. We posted that up. It did go up to 150.60 before it prints this. I'm at 02s. Oh, we got filled. I mean, what's up, Mike, Peter Ryder, and everybody out there? You guys want dollar clubs? I mean, there's one on Oracle that we just gave to you at 1040, right? This is not dollar club rated off in the morning or anything like that. This is a trade that was well talked about You know, we didn't go against us. We actually got a great price. This is where we talked about the punching down thing, where, you know, we were going to punch down into 90s. And hey, man, we might as well make it a true dollar club right now. We're short at 96. Why not take an 85? As there it comes right back into the downside right now. All right, man, we have flipped it up. Let's see if we can find it again.
Another one.
And then maybe we'll find
another one.
Yeah, that's the idea here, right? Is to try to keep on stacking up. And we did hear Obi talk the other day about, you know, taking one day he was doing really well. I feel like he was saying, and there were so many other setups, but he didn't take it. He didn't keep that foot on the gas there. So we actually do that today. We keep the foot on, and obviously we push the pedal. They're on Oracle, and now we're just gonna not shy away from Nvidia. I don't love the fact that I'm short right now, but whatever, man. We put about a unit on up here, so hopefully it comes in. We did get short earlier and got stopped out on VWAP, but then we take it on the 50 period and now on the 25, and just taking some more profit down there to the low side of this trade. And despite all this back and forth today, I'm going to be at the highest spot I've been at all day. So, you know, obviously a green day here today, and we're pretty happy with it. But everything is position pending. I mean, if this Nvidia really goes crazy, I guess we could get stuck on this. But my out is 225. I did put 25s, but I guess we can change this to 225.15s. But we're just going to let Nvidia go a little bit here. See if some of the luster is out of it. It's up 7%, but we are covering some down there. Watch out. That's where my stop is, 225.25. So that's what we're going to watch out for there. It's 10:48 already, man. You're going to have Obi. You're going to have Joe come through, otherwise known as Joby.
Yes.
On the midday show.
And we haven't looked at Joby in a while. We probably won't, but Rohin has asked several times, and appreciate you, about Meta specifically. So remember, Meta's wild action yesterday was all about the settlement, right? Obviously a heck of a lot smaller than what people were expecting, but there was restrictions that were getting put on, like time limits and blah, blah, blah. I don't want to get into my opinions on it. It doesn't really matter. But have a look at when it settled down and put in that lower high at 588, look at the wick that it put in. So it completely rejected that settle down lower high and could not hold on to the prior close. So this is going to be pretty important if it can get back to, even if it can get back to VWAP, it's going to need to prove there's buyers above like $590 on Meta. Otherwise, this is a fail of 600 again, a fail of the 50 period, a reversal. And what I thought was good news, at least initially everyone thought that was good news, that it was a smaller amount they were going to pay. And I would also think that for one more, I'm going to go to Adair in a quick little second, for one more, Snapchat is on the precipice. Like this feels like a bit of a flat bottom break. If the continued pressure stays on Meta, I think Snapchat's in some trouble. I already don't even like the stock, but we break down under 530 today. I think there's room to $5 on Snapchat, but it's probably just going to follow Meta. If I see Meta breaking down, I'll probably go over here. It's just a worse stock.
Man,
let's go up to the desk. Let's see how the US dollar is doing. Sometimes it matters. Maybe not today, because Nvidia is going to tell us.
Yeah.
Here is the US dollar. As you guys can see, we're green today. So a little bit. This would be a 2-day green streak, but on the daily chart, after we made this double top, first top in late June of 2026, second in late July of 2026, we've kind of seen that decline here on the DXY. Not really much of a change here. This is the daily chart for the US dollar. We did get some economic data this morning of note. Initial jobless claims a little better than expected, 203,000 versus 208,000 expected. So nice look there. I want to talk about some comments made by Fed's Hammock, because tomorrow at 10 a.m., we're going to have the Fed Chair Warsh speech, his first speech as Fed Chair not his first speech ever as Fed Chair, but his first speech as Fed Chair at the Jackson Hole Symposium. Now, this speech could be interesting. By this time tomorrow, it'll probably be done. They're usually 20 to 30 minutes, I find, and my recall is that there's no Q&A, so we're gonna have to wait and see what happens there. But ahead of that speech, this individual, she is Beth Hammock, the president of the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland. She came out and made some comments, again, suggesting that the Fed should hike rates sooner rather than later. She also made it very clear, and again, she did vote in favor of a rate hike back in July, that if they don't raise rates soon, they might be in a position where they're going to have to do more later. She doesn't view the current policies being effectively restrictive or restrictive enough. And she also kind of made some subliminal disses at Fed Chair Warsh, saying that the Fed needs to, talk openly about the economy, talk openly about where they see policy. We know that those are two things that Fed Chair Warsh has vocally made clear that he's uncomfortable with. 66% chance still of rates being held in place at that September 16th meeting. 34% chance, more or less, here of a hike. If you look forward, we're seeing a hike in December of 2026, as mentioned earlier, that 45% chance of the hike. We're also seeing a hike in June of 2027, then a potential 25 basis point rate reduction again in December of 2028 or 2027, December 8th of 2027. So basically that means by the end of next year, we would still be 25 basis points higher than we currently are. Back to you.
Interesting talk there from Fed Hammock. We haven't heard that yet.
Come on, Hammock.
It's what we talked about yesterday, right? The fact that Fed Chair Warsh has given an open mic to all of these, Fed.
It's like you
Fed
talk,
heads.
not me.
Yeah, it's just like I'm not going to give an opinion, so it's up to you now. And if the Hawks are going to be there and sort of throw some shade at, remember, it's like a board, right? I mean, this is a committee.
Yeah.
So they're all going to have their own opinions. They don't all have to follow suit with whatever the Fed rate board is saying. And yes, Adara?
Well, as Trump said, Kevin's fantastic, but he has a board. So that's to literally quote him directly.
Yeah.
And he said that
And he can't get rid of them all. He's trying already. Miss Cook is still in the building over there, so we have to watch out for that. And no matter what this talk is, there we still see very similar. By the way, we did fade some Nvidia here, so that's starting to work out a little bit. 66%, 33%. So it's actually getting higher right now that there's no cut at all. Come a month, well, not a month from now, 3 weeks from now, September the 16th. 66%, so 2/3, 1/3 right now on the dissent side for a hold, right? So dissent side for a raise, I guess, but looks like we're getting a hold. And then I know Neil did this in the pre-market if you guys weren't with us, but it's 45% chance that it's just a one rate hike.
I think that's the same.
But yeah, no, nothing's changed. But I just wanted to show everybody that by the time we get into Christmas time, your credit card may be up about 1/4 of a point on what you owe. Or hopefully you owe nothing, pay it all off. But 375 to 4 right now, not great for mortgages. I guess that it's going higher. The housing space has been a little weak, I guess, on some of those pending home sales numbers. But, right now we're just looking at the Fed Watch tool, and it looks like 45% of a chance of no movement at all. Just one hike by the time December comes through. So not that dramatic thing that we're looking for. What's up, Fabian? We're still short on Nvidia. There it is. Another one. Thank you for your donation.
Donated twice already.
Ooh.
The last 30 minutes.
Oh,
okay, there you go. Two donations for
That's a different
Ubong
one.
in the last 30 or 40 minutes. So our hats are off, which I'm not wearing one today, to you. So thank you so much to everybody. And thank you, Fabian, for coming up with this idea. I mean, it's been a good one, and we're really happy.
I do have
that
a
you're
question
doing it.
for
And you're going
Fabian,
to look
though.
10 times handsomer.
We got the arrange. We know who's cutting it, where we're doing it. We have a plan for that.
Whoever's here that wants to cut it.
Okay.
And then I'll just kind of even it out with a buzzer.
So we'll all do a sniff.
Yeah.
I guess maybe we'll all do a bit of a
I want to get the hedge clippers.
44.
hedge clip. That would be jokes.
I got some scissors from Dollarama, so something to get the job done.
You can cut your hair with Dollarama.
We're not doing Dollarama. We're not doing Dollarama hairstyles.
I'm sure we can.
We'll get it figured out. We'll get it.
Fancy.
Can everybody hear you? I don't think so.
I think we can figure out
No.
better than Dollarama scissors.
We can get it figured out.
Because
Maybe
that's what
Dollar
we-
General. I mean, that stock's up today.
It's a
Tree.
Dollar
Dollar
Tree.
Tree. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Dollar Tree.
Here we have Dollarama. I don't know if you guys have that, of course, in the United
Dollar
States.
Tree. By the way, that Dollar Tree moved down.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, everything's fine. It's almost back to green, and then Dollar General goes the other way. So they reversed the move.
They're reversing the
Although,
reversion?
DG's still up and Dollar Tree's still down, but they reversed it. Like this one got sold at the open and the other got bought.
How close
which
did that come?
it kind of makes some sense. I don't like these buyers that are
Oh, I just saw the reversion, man.
they're trying to step into SMCI. I thought we were going to get down in closer to 37.5.
Yeah.
But this is still trying to hold that bid. But the futures are still looking at least relatively weak. SoFi is getting close to the top, so it's pushing into that high. But I want out at the high. Remember, the market's pulling back here. We're off the highs, we lose
Spooky man is
VWAP.
here.
I think we
The
take our
spoofy man.
advantage to be able to get out at that top with the NASDAQ starting to look at least a little bit weaker. And oh my goodness, DRAM's at the low of the day again. It did go, it ended up going further than we expected, but yeah, it's coming right back in there. I don't know if I like this. These were very distinct bottoming tail candles for entries. Unless something like that materializes on DRAM, I think we just stay away. All morning long, the memory names have been taking it on the chin more than everybody else. No need to fight it a little bit later on in the session. Only 3 minutes to go. wonder what lunch is.
We have a top stock here.
As long
with-
as it's not Thai.
Yeah, as long as it's not Ty. You're saying you had a bad experience there last night with Ty. But I'm happy because my girl Ramin is in the building. So we say hey to Ramin. It's been a long time since she has been around. She doesn't look too pleased to be here, but she is here. What's up, Ramin? Right there.
I saw a smile.
Yeah, oh yeah, she's always smiling. So
I
it's
thought
great to have Ramin in the building again. Good to see her as Trader TV Live family is getting bigger. So we want to say a shout out to Ramin as she gets ready to pop one out. We'll see how that goes. Therefore, Ramin, it should be an exciting one to come. We are very, very excited for Ramin, and that should be a good one there. And can't wait to have a little baby running around here. That is for sure. And we'll teach it how to invest
ram.
properly right off the open. We'll get it to buy some Micron and all of that. Oh,
Hey, well, it's all
Nimrod
about-
is back.
It's all about, I was going to say, it's all
This is
about
the biggest
this.
donation to
Ever?
date, I believe.
Ever?
How much
wait a
is that? AED 750.
No, is that the same count, though?
No. Oh, he mentioned why. So yeah, shout out to Nimrod. How much is that?
Your other account limits, that's
I
why.
still can't hear you. Under 90 USD. Okay, so it's not going to be the biggest one ever.
Limit super chat.
But there it is right there. Yeah, it's Nimrod. My other account limits.
Okay.
So there it is. Daily super chats for some reason. Yeah, man, what the hell other account? Thank you so much, Nvidia. So send Joseph what he did on Nvidia. He loves you guys. Thank you so much. He's coming in November and he's going to look at the charity in a couple moments. So Nimrod, thank you so
Appreciate
much
you,
for
Nimrod.
everything you're doing for us here at Trader TV Live. And if you do check the charity out, here, Nimrod, I'll just give you like everything you're going to super chat us, just go to the charity. Right now, immediately.
Right to the.
So thank you, Nimrod. Okay, by the way, I know you're long on Nvidia. I just took a short there and lost. So we were able to get some out there. We reloaded at 226, so not the end of the world, but there it is, the high of the day, man. Hopefully this keeps the super chats going in. If you're long on Nvidia today, oh boy, there it goes to the upside. NVDA really kicking. And the only short that I had all day was Oracle. And that's been printing there. I'm going to stop out on 150 break. We can put that order in right now and see if we can hold that for the rest of the day. But right now, it's just Oracle for me and a small little trade. Only 80 cents in the money on IBIT. But 150 11s we'll stop out on if it breaks higher there on ORCL.
Yeah, I'm similar with
227.
with this short. I'm going to trail out of this. This is a double bottom at $38 on SMCI, and then look at this cliff from the afternoon. So going to respect that. Trend in, trend out. So it's got a pretty steep downtrend from the highs, which it's respecting. So if you break 38.2, that violates it, and we're not going to get, maybe we still get the low of the day, and I revisit this trade at the volume weighted average price again. SoFi is still kind of slowly clawing up. The market looked like it was breaking down. I really dislike that exit point. That's the only one I don't like, was getting a 20 fill, because I thought we're going to break down. I just wanted to trim. But now we're going to hold till the high. So the high is 19. On SoFi, the high is 1947. But I'm just going to, if it gets to 45 and there's anybody out there, like a big size or some big seller that I see, I'll probably just hit the bid on the way out. And then one last one, and this is only because we got some questions about Meta.
Okay.
It's starting to curl and look a little bit better. So if Meta gets into VWAP, I don't want to short Meta, I want to short Snapchat. So if Meta pops into 577, and Snapchat's still chilling out right here, and it turns, I might end up just punching the bid, because Snapchat's going sideways as Meta's climbing. So if Meta gets there and Snapchat's still holding VWAP, that's like an easy VWAP short with low risk. Meta falls, it falls. It's past 11 o'clock. I have no idea what lunch is. When I said I had a bad experience with Thai, my daughter loves Thai. It was my wife's birthday yesterday, and they wanted Thai food. We got it from a new place, and they enjoyed it. I was like,
Okay, well, as long as they enjoy it.
no. Just, sometimes you eat, and it's like, it wasn't the best.
Yeah, it wasn't like
so I
the
don't want
best,
Thai food today. I would like us to have assorted sandwiches with a cookie.
Ooh.
But
I
it
can't
doesn't.
tell what country it is. I honestly
Oh.
don't know what country it's supposed to be. What I can tell you is it's not going to be assorted sandwiches. And it made me think of an obscure Drake lyric, so that's all I can say.
Oh, wait, stay there for a second, Adara.
Sorry.
I just realized something.
Yes,
It doesn't matter what lunch is today,
apple fritter.
because I'm having an apple fritter
You
For
are.
snack.
for a snack.
For a snack.
Dessert.
Dessert.
Thank you, CrowdStrike. First of all, everybody should just thank you to your portfolios and the relentless buying that is going on today.
Well, as long as you're long, yeah.
Well, as long as you're not. Well, even Michael Burry hedged his
I guess his
Nvidia.
Nimrod is long.
He hedged his Nvidia with calls. So even
of course he did.
benefited. Yeah, it makes some sense. We'll go throw to Sean. So, sorry, we'll throw to the midday, but that was Joe just saying he thought that was him, some big call buying out there. It goes to show, like, even somebody who was short understood how strong things might be. But we're going to go over to Joe B.
Yep.
We'll grab some lunch.
We will.
I'll eat at Apple Fritter, and we'll see you back at 2.